Down for WTIC 1080 News.
The Travelers Championship is back June 18th through the 22nd. Catch Rory McIlroy, Xander Schauffele, Justin Thomas, and defending champ Scotty Scheffler at the Northeast-only PGA Tour signature event. Get your tickets now at TravelersChampionship.com.
Dreaming of a perfect smile? At Columbia Dental, our orthodontic experts specialize in braces and clear aligners like Invisalign. Get the smile you've always dreamed of. Open 7 days a week. Call 860-645-0111 or visit ColumbiaDental.com.
Are you a proud Connecticut business owner? We are too. With more than 48 years of experience handling business transactions for small and mid-sized businesses. And we know that not every business relationship works out as planned. If you found yourself in a dispute, call the law firm of Brown, Payne, Darris, and Scott. Our team of business lawyers have over 100 years of combined experience. At BPS Lawyers, you get more than a lawyer. You get a full-service law firm. Call us at 860-CALL-BPS or visit bpslawyers.com. Nick Payne Darris is responsible for the content of this ad.
What's up, Mike?
Are you nearly maxed out in your credit?
On.
It doesn't matter if you're using your credit cards for fun or to survive. At the end of the month, your statements come in, and you can either pay them or you can't. If you can't, late fees and interest rates get tacked on. And now you're struggling just to make the minimum payment due. Do you feel trapped? Am I talking to you? Good, because I personally researched some companies that can help you. They may be able to reduce your credit card balances by 50% and stop the late fees. If you qualify, please call our special debt hotline number right now for a
Knicks looks like they're going to close it up tonight.
What's your credit card problem now?
Anything's
before it gets
possible.
much worse. In your pocket. Trust me, I've been there too. Call right now.
800-94.
I want a Knicks-Wolves finals. That's what I want.
948-1659.
Yeah.
800-948-1659. That's 800-948.
Here we go.
1559.
Hey, shh. Calm down. The show is about to start. Reese on the radio. Turn it up. Turn it up low. Turn it up loud.
It's like a dream come true.
Turn on your radio. Reese's on the radio.
Yo, let's get it.
Due to the nature of this program, discretion does not exist. It's Reese on the radio. Right now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
And a wonderful welcome to all of you and yours, scallywags, nutmeggers, across the fruited plain. It is I, your humble correspondent, Reese on the radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC. Y'all are so lucky that Daddy's not home. You are so lucky that Daddy's out of town. There's so many people in the conservative sphere, especially MAGA folks, have been saying that. They referred to Donald Trump as Daddy. I find that hilarious and a little off-putting for me. Just hearing somebody saying that is like, Daddy's home. I was like, okay, all right. I don't go that far. But it's interesting that while all of this stuff about Joe Biden is unfolding, Donald Trump is overseas in the Middle East. God, could you imagine if he were here? What the news cycle would be? It would be Donald Trump's reaction to this new book, which, again, I don't care what anybody says. Try to get over it or move past it all you want. It's going nowhere. It only lends to more discussion. And these people who want to get past it, they don't understand what they are, what buzzsaw they're running into. Even our very own Chris Murphy is acknowledging. We're going to get into it today. I've got a whole bunch of stuff on him. But even Chris Murphy is starting to sound like the midterms are not a foregone conclusion. We'll get into that. I've got audio of him. Video for those of you who are watching online. I'm telling you, it is amazing what's going on. Even Jake Tapper is admitting that he could have done a better job. He is conceding. He is ceding the ground because he knows that there's been overwhelming reporting on the cover that he gave to Joe Biden. But I'm going to go one step further on you, Jakey baby. I'm going to go one step further on you. And I'm definitely going to go one step further on liberals who listen to this very program and this very network. I'm also going to be playing audio for the newsrooms across the fruited plain because this is important as well. You guys spent 7-8 years lying about certain things. We'll get to that. Pay very close attention. We're not going to miss a beat. Not today. So I hope that you're all prepared for that. But I promise you an opening monologue, and I want to get to this a little bit because I thought it was interesting. And I don't know why it's happening, but I have an idea. Let me just put it that way. And it is, I'd like to ask a question to Democrats, to liberals, to progressives. If you are old enough to remember John F. Kennedy, if you were alive during that time, I'd like to talk to you and the generations after you who are progressives and Democrats and leftists. You built this country too, didn't you? Didn't you have a stake in the country that exists today? You played a role. You did. There's no denying this world that we live in was not just forged by conservatives or by right-leaning or MAGA folks. It was formed or forged by those on the left too. I mean, we got John F. Kennedy Jr., the first Christian, Catholic, I should say, president. He was the left's champion. They referred to his time in office as Camelot because he was the closest thing to royalty, loved by Democrats. Remember, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you could do for your country. The beginning stages of the civil rights movement, LBJ, Lyndon Baines Johnson, forcing that N-word bill down the throats of Americans. Remember? That's what he called it. To ensure that African Americans would be voting Democrat for 200 years. Your party got us civil rights. Your party got us the end of segregation, didn't it? That's what you tell everybody, even though your party filibustered it and fought back in instant, but you played some role in that. Now, sure, we lost LBJ and we had to deal with Nixon, and Nixon, his resigning was pretty much forged by people on the left, holding the powerful accountable. That's how you got rid of Nixon. That was your folks doing that. You did that. They gave us a Gerald Ford, but you know, that's another story. But after Gerald Ford, you gave us Jimmy Carter, peanut farmer. Now, I'm not going to lie, all things went to hell. Gas prices, gas shortages, hostage situations in Iran. You know, it didn't matter. But guess what, Democrats? After the debacle that was Jimmy Carter, you joined the Reagan Revolution. Overwhelming numbers of Democrats voted for Ronald Reagan, the Gipper. And you did it twice. You believed in it so much, you even voted for Herbert Walker Jr. Well, Herbert Walker, not Jr., but Herbert Walker. You gave us Herbert Walker, didn't you? And he turned out to be a failure, and sure enough, you found the guy who was the governor, a governor who played saxophone. Sure, he liked a few hefty broads, but whatever. But he played the saxophone on Arsenio Hall. And he had a very, very forceful and ambitious wife named Hillary. You gave us 8 years of Bill Clinton. And due to his debacle, you ended up getting Newt Gingrich as Speaker of the House. But guess what? We got the contract with America. Bill Clinton, he ended up being a moderate. But you still consider him one of the greatest to ever do it. One of the greatest Democrats. You guys were bringing him out of the crypt whenever you could. Of course, that led to the very contested election of George W. Bush against Al Gore, but it was razor thin. You fought. You scrambled. You lost. And 9 months into George W. Bush's presidency, you stood shoulder to shoulder with us after the events of September 11th. One of the most unified times in our history. You built that, Democrats. You did. And you should always remember that. That America you built. A united America. I remember it. I was there. You gave us the first black president. I say second, but many of you think the first. You gave us Barack Hussein Obama. Even after the war on terror, you elected a guy with a middle name like Hussein. Oh, come on, applaud yourselves again. But you did that. You didn't do it once, you did it twice. You did it twice. But you also gave us Trump, which we thank you for. Don't forget, we do thank you. We appreciate it. Kudos. Don't forget, people forget in 2016, many of you left Obama, would not vote for Hillary Clinton, and you voted for Donald Trump. So it was another time you came together with Americans to vote for our future. You did that. You played a huge role in where we are today. You built this. You built this America. It's not something you need to take responsibility for. It's something you need to celebrate. But I have to ask you one question. Democrats, liberals, progressives, why do your kids hate it so much here? And why do you stand for it? I'll put this in the most simplest terms. If I built a home, worked overtime, scraped, saved money, didn't eat, ate very little, so I can start a family, buy a home, start it from scratch, put on extensions, do the lawn, pay the bills, keep it up until my children are old enough, make sure that they have a room. You know, if I have a boy and a girl, they each have their own private room. I don't force them, cramp them into some small space. I build a life for them. I buy them the video games. I make sure there's a TV in every room. Everybody's fed well. Why would I build all of that for my child to then look at what I built for them and say that it sucks? And if they did, why would I sit idly by and tell them or act like I had nothing to do with the building of the home? I didn't have anything to do with it. I'm sorry that your room sucks, but that ain't on me. It is on you. Your kids hate this country, and you have not even asked yourself why. You haven't even reeled them in and said, what are you talking about? I worked my butt off to give you the country that we have today. I voted for this guy. I campaigned for this guy. I even gave money and endorsed this individual. The country that we have has winners and losers, and sometimes we win, and then you lay out all the wins, and sometimes we lose, and we lay out all the losses. But we tell them that in order to keep anything in this world, we have to fight for it. We have to scrape for it. We have to work for it. And here it is. Your kids are running all over the country, screaming and hollering, breaking things, disenfranchising others, attacking them verbally and physically, and destroying the very world that you built for them. And you haven't once thought about grabbing them by the collar and saying, what the hell are you doing? This is not how you fight for this country. You get engaged, you don't scream, you don't holler, you don't torch things. You don't hurt people. Not one of you has ever stood up to say that. Instead, what you've done is you've exacerbated this. You've run around. Now, I don't mind that you go and you protest Tesla. I don't care if you stand up in City Hall. All of that is exactly what you're supposed to do. But when your kids are out there destroying things like the Summer of Love in 2020, where people's private businesses are being destroyed, where people are being murdered in the streets, and you don't grab those kids by the collar and tell them, what are you doing? I built this for you. It ain't perfect, but it's our home. I can't understand why none of you have decided to stand up for it. You're just absentee parents. So, look, I know that you're going to take that and say, I don't know what you're talking about, Reese. I'm trying to fight for this country. Nah, yeah, oh, sure you do. But your kids hate the home you built. And you did. The water isn't always hot. Sometimes the bills don't get paid. Sometimes it's a rough winter. But it's yours. This country's yours. You helped build it. We may have been in opposition to you, but sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. And when you won, we took the L. And when we won, you didn't take the L very well. At least you don't anymore. But now, instead of fighting for the country or getting those people to fight for the country in the right way, you're allowing them to tear down our home. And again, I'm still trying to figure out, why haven't you even asked them why they hate it here? Because whatever it is that they hate, you help build. You're part responsible of what they hate. Didn't get here just through us. That's the only point I'm trying to make in all of this. I don't care if you hate it. I don't care if your kids are angry about it. But take some responsibility for where it is today, because all of us had a part in that. Win, lose, or draw, we all had a part in that. Laura says, I say encourage them to leave. I don't know if they can. I don't know if they can. I know they live to complain, though. That much I know. So, that's all I have to say about that. When we come back, let me break down a couple of things we're going to talk about. Stupidest thing I have read today. Apparently, 55-year-old men do not know how to post on social media. We've got a great example of that knucklehead in the 4:30 break, so we'll get to that. Also, Jake Tapper having a reflection of what he didn't do when it came to covering Biden. But I have a counter to that, and it has everything to do with Charlottesville and Jake Tapper and CNN. We'll get to that as well. Also, I want to break down Chris Murphy today. I'm going to spend a lot of time on Chris Murphy. I know I said I'm going to lay off of him, but this one in particular is very good. Chris Murphy, we have absolutely confirmed that he is running for president. We'll get into that a little bit. But Chris Murphy may have to think about a couple of things, because there is some audio out there that contradicts him when it comes to the very safety of this country. So we'll have that. It's a very, very long dissertation that I have to give on Chris Murphy. So we'll break all of that down as well. What were the other things that I had to get into? I know I had some other stuff that was here. Oh, we'll talk about Chuck Schumer and Timu Obama, which is known as Hakeem Jeffries. We'll get into him. Oh, this one is my favorite. I don't have enough time for this one, do I? Yeah, we'll do this when we come back. This one's good. Just after the debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump in July of 2024, Christopher Wray, the head of the FBI at the time, was at a congressional hearing where Democrats had finally decided enough was enough, and they were publicly saying that Joe Biden was unfit to remain not only the commander-in-chief, but should suspend his campaign. Former Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz and Christopher Wray had an exchange that many of you saw, but might not remember. It is key to this whole thing about the original Sin book by Jake Tapper. It is the most important part and the most important element to all of this. It's not about who covered it up. It is not about who didn't say this and who did say that. It's not about that. It's about who was making decisions. And the former head of the FBI in this exchange, when you hear it yourself, you will be asking the same thing. Wait a minute. We were at risk. And what's more important, people died as a result of his cognitive decline. We'll break all of that down when we return, so stick around for it. More news, more views than you can shake a stick at. It's Reese on the Radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC. I guess.
How did you get your tripping breakers fixed so fast?
AL Home Services, same day electrical. I gave them a call and they had a technician on their way. They even sent the technician's real-time location so I knew when they would be here.
Did you say same day? That's crazy.
If you need same-day electrical, call, click, or text today and say hello, ALO, call for details. Licensed for safety. P102776688, D104014665, E1185643, S3308699, HIC 628926, SM3004646, HOD 635, HOD 223.
College holds a mythic place in American culture, but there are stories you won't hear on the campus tours.
The higher-ups are concerned about one thing, and that is avoiding scandal.
I'm Margot Gray. On the new podcast, Campus Files, we cover everything from rigged admissions to the drama of Greek life and student protests. Listen to and follow Campus Files, an Odyssey original podcast. Available now on the free Odyssey app and wherever you get your podcasts.
Coverage varies by plan, view contracts and exclusions at endurancewarranty.com. Auto repair bills are through the roof. $3,000 to replace the transmission. $4,000 for a blown engine. And if your manufacturer's warranty is expired, you'll have to cover it all out of pocket. You need an Endurance Auto Protection Plan. No matter what the mileage, if your car is under 20 years old, Endurance can get you covered on the engine, electrical system, transmission, AC, drivetrain, and more. Endurance has plans for any budget. Repairs can be done at the certified mechanic of your choice, and they're paid directly with no middleman. Plans cover 24/7 roadside assistance, towing, battery jumps, fuel deliveries, tire changes, lockout services, and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Act now and get our elite benefits, including complete tire care and key fob replacement. A $2,000 value at no extra cost. With Endurance, you could never pay for covered auto repairs again, so call now for your free quote. Call 800-253-6203. 800-253-6203. 800-253-6203.
Mystic, Hamden, Putnam. When you want local news, turn to WTIC News Talk 1080, reporting on the local stories that affect you. From Manchester to Mystic, Hartford to Hamden, and Putnam to Plymouth, one radio station has your local news and breaking news as it happens. WTIC News Talk 1080. Listen on your radio, smart speaker, and on your phone with the free Odyssey app. And now, a WTIC news update.
It's 3:30, 70 degrees, mainly cloudy skies. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News. Waterbury police say a teenager is in custody after he allegedly brandished a gun on a school bus today. The Willoughby High School student reported the incident, and the 15-year-old was identified by the school resource officer, now faces a host of charges. An 11-year-old was struck while riding a bicycle this morning in Waterbury. Police say the youngster was hit in the area of Old Colony Drive. They were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Two teenagers in Southington under arrest for allegedly setting fire to a laptop last week. The two high schoolers are charged with reckless endangerment and other offenses. It's thought the incident was part of a challenge that's been making the rounds on social media. State says it has secured temporary custody of 15 neglected horses from Stirrup Fund Stables Rescue in Lebanon. They were left on a vacant parcel of land. Recent reports of animal neglect. They're now being cared for in Niantic. President Trump says he urgently wants to make a deal with Iran to wind down its nuclear program. He's in the midst of that three-day trip to the Middle East. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. made his first appearance as health secretary before the powerful Senate Health Committee today. He faced intense scrutiny about the thousands of jobs he has eliminated. as well as the response to a measles outbreak. WTIC Weather Center, mainly cloudy skies today. We'll keep it in the low 70s. Clouds, mild, maybe a passing shower tonight in the low 50s. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
Hey, it's Tom Shattuck. As you know, my friend Phil has been on Awaken 180 weight loss, and now he has just finished week 13 of losing weight each and every week.
I'm down 65.4 pounds. I'm feeling a lot more confident in myself. You know, like I used to be, especially summertime, be embarrassed to wear certain clothing because you didn't want to show your weight. I have my major high school reunion in September, and I'm kind of looking forward to, showing off a little bit. That'll be kind of cool. I can actually wear clothes that I've had tucked away for years. So I'm kind of excited about that. I'm getting a little cocky.
It's okay to get a little cocky when you've lost a lot of weight with Awaken 180 weight loss because you did it the right way. Eating healthy food, but eating smarter. Working with a coach who customizes the approach to you. Unlike all these fad treatments for weight loss that you hear so much about in the news, with Awaken 180 weight loss, all you put into your body is delicious, healthy food. Make your consultation today, 844-346-1800. Online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Governor Lamont and lawmakers, Connecticut's health is on the line. World-class care, a compassionate workforce, and life-saving treatments are at risk. Raising taxes and cutting hospital payments would make care less affordable and less accessible. Help protect healthcare. Support Medicaid rates that cover the cost of care. Don't balance the state budget on the backs of patients. Learn more at cthosp.org.
Paid for by the Connecticut Hospital Association.
Slow? Clogged? Backed up? Don't worry. ALO Home Services has you covered. For only $93, our technician will clear any drain in your home. And if it can't be cleared, it's free. Call for details. Licensed for safety. P102776688, D10401465, E1185643, S3308699, HIC 628926, SM3004646, HOD 635, HOD 223.
Hi, I'm Joe with SimpleSaleUSA.com, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 203-896-4000. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition, any price range, and more importantly, anywhere in Connecticut. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that is trash and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, because I love buying junk houses. I buy vacant houses, abandoned houses, condemned houses, and even foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 203-896-4000. That's 203-896-4000. 203-896-4000.
Success is picking up extra shifts for your family. Now you want to be the boss. Success is getting your foot in the door. Now you want to take the next step. Success looks different to everyone, and University of Maryland Global Campus can help you reach your goals. And there's never been a better time to get started on your future. Apply now and save with no application fee. As an accredited state university, UMGC has been transforming lives for over 75 years. With more than 135 undergraduate and graduate degrees and certificates, online and hybrid courses, personalized support, financial resources, and lifetime career services, achieving your dreams is more possible than ever before. Choose the program that's right for your career goals and get started on your next success. No application fee if you apply by May 30th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Did you hear? A recent stash of $10 coins from the 1800s has been found. These gorgeous gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck in the late 1800s, and less than 200 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this gold find an incredible opportunity. Call 1-800-969-0686 and you are guaranteed a $10 gold Liberty coin minted by the U.S. Mint in the 1800s. But with extremely limited availability, you must call now. These gold Liberty coins from the 1800s are still in uncirculated condition. That is history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-969-0686. Call now and you'll receive a free American Coin Collector's Bonus Package, a $40 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-969-0686 now to secure your $10 Gold Liberty coins dated from the 1800s before they sell out. That's 1-800-969-0686.
Reese on the radio, making sense of the news. Yeah, even when it makes no sense at all. Now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
All right, we got a lot of stuff to go through today, so bear with me because it is content heavy on Reese on the Radio this Wednesday as we break down all of this stuff. In the 4 o'clock hour, we'll get to the Chris Murphy stuff. Because that is, in and of itself, I can see myself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so 6, 7 actual sound bites related to Chris Murphy. We'll get to that in a second. So let me start this off with this, with the Matt Gaetz, Christopher Wray exchange. Now, remember, this is Christopher Wray giving an assessment of where we are as a country as far as national security is concerned. And this is after the assassination attempt on Donald Trump that happened on July 13th, and clearly just after the debate with Joe Biden and Donald Trump, where now there are plenty of officials and Democrats coming out. In fact, in this particular exchange, Matt Gaetz even mentions Adam Schiff, who at the time expressed concern about Joe Biden's cognitive decline and his ability to continue to serve. So many people were very vocal at this point. And Matt Gaetz was talking to the FBI director, Chris Wray, who was there to talk about threat assessment, how many dangers we were dealing with, like Hamas coming through our southern border, our porous southern border. Listen to this exchange, because even here, Christopher Wray, former FBI director, will not admit that he is not answering to the commander-in-chief or the vice president, for that matter.
So when did you notice his decline?
In my interactions, in my role, all my interactions with the current president have been completely professional.
Right, but I mean the cognitive decline. I'm not saying he treated you unprofessionally, just maybe not picking things up as quickly as he used to.
Again, I don't meet with him very often, but what you're describing is not something that I've observed during my interactions with him.
I mean, we've had it observed so often that the ranking member and Mr. Schiff on this committee have said that he could no longer continue as a candidate. And so, since you're the FBI director, I was just sort of wondering, like, who's running the country? Like if something bad happened, you'd have to go brief President Biden about it right now? God forbid.
And on any number of occasions, I have briefed the president, and as I said, those briefings have all been uneventful and unremarkable.
Well, I can imagine them being uneventful. But in the work where the vice president's also present, like you say, there's like more than half the time there's these briefings, she's there too?
I don't know if I said more than half the time. Certainly, there have been times where she's been present. There have been other times where she hasn't.
I take you at your word when you say this is the most complicated threat environment you've ever observed over a long career in law enforcement. And I'm just kind of wondering, with this assassination attempt, with the invasion at our border, with all the Hamas that have been let in that you've talked about and briefed about, like, is Biden up to it? And if he's not up to it, and you're a guy who's been regularly briefing him, like, who's been in on this conspiracy to hide the real Joe Biden from all of us for years? It never occurred to you that this guy wasn't up to it in all these briefings you did?
As I said, my briefings with the president have all been completely fine.
Were they between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m.?
He's asked questions. There hasn't been anything of note in the area that you're talking about.
Yeah, did you ever have to brief him before 10 a.m. or after 4 p.m.? We hear those are his good hours.
I certainly, times that I have briefed have included outside those hours.
You hear the uncomfortable in Christopher Wray? Do you hear that? Because he knows the jig is up. He is trying demonstrably hard to not express what the facts are. Everyone is towing the line. The man who's in charge of our national security as the FBI director knows he's not reporting to the commander-in-chief at all. No one is. No one is. And he can't answer any one of these simple questions because everything, the jig is up. Everyone knows it's up. Here's the rest of it.
Right. I just, I think the American people want to know how we got to this point with someone who's so diminished, his own party has basically put him out to pasture. And since you had close proximity and the vice president had close proximity, I'm just kind of wondering if you were being straight with all of us about how things were going with him. I guess we'll have to figure that out.
You can count on me to be straight with you, sir.
Could we? From what we know now, was Christopher Wray being straight with us? So when you hear everyone else talking about move on, nothing to see here, they think it's as simple as some gossip column about somebody sitting at a board meeting or sitting at some company as the CEO falling asleep, during the quarterlies. This was the guy that was in charge of the thing. All of it. National security threats, putting people in harm's way, our military, the nuclear codes. He wasn't making those decisions. We know that now. It's irrefutable. Who was in charge of Afghanistan? Whose debacle was that really? Remember when I jokingly said that Joe Biden couldn't remember the name of his his Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin? When Lloyd Austin on New Year's Day was incapacitated, he was in a self-induced coma. He was in a hospital-induced coma. And never once did Joe Biden say, hey, where's that big black guy that runs defense? Never once. John Kirby was the only person who was front and center to talk about Lloyd Austin's disappearance. Not even the President of the United States, his boss, addressed it. Find me one audio soundbite, one video soundbite where anyone asked the former president, where was Lloyd Austin? Did you have any discussions with him? I remember the one. It was when he was overseas, and he barely addressed it. But John Kirby did most of the response. But he didn't even, and we knew that. Lloyd Austin didn't even call Joe Biden. Take a wild guess why. Because it wouldn't have mattered. The National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, he's part of the cabinet. Biden referred to him as Steve. He didn't even know Jake Sullivan's name. He called him Steve. You thought it was insulting when he couldn't remember who George Clooney was. He couldn't remember the National Security Advisor's name. The guy he appointed to the role. Or maybe not. That's what we're dealing with here. Here's Jake Tapper reflecting. After all the criticism he received yesterday, now he's saying, well, maybe I could have done better.
I think some of the criticism is fair, to be honest, of me. Certainly, I'm not going to speak for anybody else. But knowing then what I know now, I look back at my coverage during the Biden years, and I did cover some of these issues, but not enough. I look back on it with humility. What we learned through our reporting is that starting in around 2019, 2020, there were two Bidens. There was a Biden that was perfectly workable, serviceable, seemed fine, and then there was a non-functioning one.
Did you hear that? Between 2019 and 2020, the election, there were two kinds of Bidens, Jake Tapper says.
There was a Biden that was perfectly workable, serviceable, seemed fine, and then there was a non-functioning one that couldn't come up with names of top aides, that would lose his train of thought to an alarming degree. And that non-functioning Biden reared his head increasingly over and over. It really seemed to exacerbate and get much worse in 2023, 2024. And what Alex Thompson and I were able to uncover through this reporting, almost all with just Democratic insiders and operatives, and almost all of which only happened after the election.
Now remember, he makes it a key point to say, if not all of them were Democrats. Many, if not all of them, were Democrats, which again means that they're credible. You can't call it bipartisan because I got Democrats to tell me.
Because they wouldn't be candid until after the election. What we learned stunned us, shocked us. And look, while it was very important, and I'm not dismissing the coverage of Biden tripping on stage or falling off his bike, that was obviously indicative of something serious that was going on. I think what we learned about the non-functioning Biden rearing his head increasingly, not being able to come up with the name of George Clooney, not being able to come up with the name of top aides in the White House, I think that really reveals something even more significant, something even more disturbing about a president that was not what we, the American people, should expect and be able to demand, which is somebody who is there with it 24/7.
Now, again, Jake Tapper, it would all matter. It would all matter if there wasn't one thing lingering. And that thing that's lingering is the fact that he bent over backwards to malign Donald Trump while he spent his career castigating anybody who questioned Joe Biden's decline. Just to give you a backdrop of that. Do we have time? Yes. Here is Jake Tapper covering one story about Donald Trump with the contrast of the facts.
You have it? Okay, I'm being told we have it. Thank you. Run it, please.
Excuse me, to protest. Excuse me, they didn't put themselves down as you, and you had some very bad people in that group. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
That was President Trump saying that very fine people were marching alongside neo-Nazis and skinheads and white supremacists.
I've condemned neo-Nazis. I've condemned many different groups, but not all of those people were neo-Nazis, believe me. Not all of those people were white supremacists. And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay?
This is a president who said there were, quote, very fine people on both sides in a Charlottesville neo-Nazi Klan march in Charlottesville, and his infamous reference to very fine people. There were, quote, very fine people on both sides of that Charlottesville, Virginia march. And candidate Trump, I tried to get him 3 times to condemn David Duke. He wouldn't do it.
Well, you've got David Duke just joined, a bigot, a racist, a problem. I mean, this is not exactly the people you want in your party.
A lot of people think that he has a soft spot in his heart for, or at least won't condemn, white supremacists.
As I said on Saturday, we condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence. It has no place in America. Racism is evil, and those who cause violence in its name are criminals and thugs, including the KKK, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and other hate groups that are repugnant to everything we hold dear as Americans. We are a nation founded on the truth that all of us are created equal.
And there's this big effort by Trump supporters to pretend that the president didn't say what he said, to call this all a hoax.
And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay?
And that's the reason why Jake Tapper has no credibility in all of this. He exacerbated a lie. He said it on his network several times on several shows, and other people repeated it. It took Snopes 7 years to take down the claim, or to at least reverse the claim that it was true that Donald Trump had said that, and Jake Tapper knows it. So as much as he may try to pretend, I'm down the middle, the evidence is there. We got more coverage on this when we return. Stick around. More news, more views when we return. It's Reese on the Radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small, loud or quiet. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love, guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Progressive knows road trips without your pet can be tough.
Hi, this is Next Stop Dog Boarding.
Hi, it's Scott again. How's Squeaks doing? You can tell if he's stressed by his eyebrows. Oh, and his breathing should sound like this.
Scott, Squeaks is exactly the same as last time you called.
Okay, let's talk in 20 to see if anything's changed.
With Progressive, your pet is covered up to $1,000 in vet bills in case of a car accident. So next time, you can take your pet with you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states. Coverage for dogs and cats is included with the purchase of collision coverage and subject to policy terms.
I've had a number of surgeries, and frankly, I don't have time to rehab a surgery and an operation at this point in my life. I didn't want to take time off my kids' activities.
That's why former college and pro football player Bobby Carpenter turned to QC Kinetics. We couldn't be happier saving our patients like him from operating rooms and long recoveries.
I've been able to resume like normal activity for me, which is a lot of running. It's a lot of workouts. I've been very, very blessed with how it's been able to hold up.
For so long, patients have accepted surgery as the only solution. But with new technologies, the medical professionals at QC Kinetics use regenerative treatments, your body's own biologics, to help heal and restore knees, hips, shoulders, and backs.
I actually ran into a friend of mine over at our golf course, and he had his knee done. It felt so well. He'd got his shoulder done. He goes, I can't thank you enough. He'd heard the commercial on the air, and so it's feeling great.
Find out how you can avoid surgery and finally get relief. Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 860-440-PAIN. That's 860-440-PAIN. 860-440-PAIN.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Life insurance.
30 seconds.
Putting it off. Can't afford it. Too much hassle. Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com. Here we go.
That's ethos.com/radio.
It's Reese on the Radio. Ask your doctor if common sense is right for you. On News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Forgot about that. Next hour, folks, we're going to be talking about this this Chris Murphy thing when it comes to, I guess, this interview he did with Nicole Wallace on MSNBC. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that's involved in it, but Chris Murphy said something I thought was just very odd and bizarre to say. And I think that he's admitting that Democrats may have shot their shot very early. And he is sending out a warning about the 2026 midterms. He even goes so far as to bring up Donald Trump's polling numbers, that even if Donald Trump's polling numbers are in the low 30s, Democrats still may not have a shot. Well, I have a strong understanding of why that is. And I think that he's acknowledging this. Well, and we'll break it all down because there's so much audio clips on it that sort of that play a role in that. Primarily because of these. These two clips that I'm about to play for you are exactly why Democrats have a problem in the next 2 years, if not 4 years. Chuck Schumer on CNN asked about Jake Tapper's book because remember, he's their colleague. So they have to talk about his book because I'm sure he got a great advance. And it's a great news cycle for them. People will listen to CNN because of this book. Here is Chuck Schumer.
You sat next to Biden in the Oval Office February 27th, 2024, just a handful of months before the president took that debate stage. And it was later reported that you and other Democratic leaders were talking before the debate about having a plan. You and Hakeem Jeffries, Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama. I understand you later denied that that ever happened. But I am curious, I'm interested to know whether the man that you saw sitting there on that couch on that day, you were in there, you saw him up close and personal. Did you really not have any idea that he was not fit to serve a second term?
Casey, we're looking forward. We have the largest Medicaid cut in front of us. We have the whole federal
you're
government
facing all
at
of this
risk.
because you lost a presidential election. And
Well,
is that not Joe Biden's responsibility for deciding to run again?
We're looking forward.
That's it?
That's it.
And that will be their undoing. He's looking forward. We're not going to go back. We're not going to rehash this. We don't even think we owe an answer to the American people. We're looking forward. We lied to you. Get over it. And that's why people are saying, it's not even about circling the wagons. They are getting ready to lose a lot in 2026. This book, and if there's another one, who knows, but this book is going to do a lot of damage to Democrats overall. We'll talk about it a little more. Hakeem Jeffries, same response. We'll talk about that on the other side when we return. All right, let's get our first check of the weather and traffic this hour with Mark Christopher and Jason Caterina. Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center. How we doing, sir? Oh, no, they got Tom O'Hanlon. My bad, Tom O'Hanlon. I forgot. I know better.
I'm Tom O'Hanlon from the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. 84 westbound busy, exit 56 to 46, and eastbound some stop and go, exit 46 to 51. On Route 2, we're slowing down, feeding up into 84. Founders Bridge is still doing okay, crossing the river into Hartford. 91 southbound, we're slow from 291 down into North Meadows. And in Windsor, 91 southbound slow, exit 35A to 32. Now, if you're traveling through Meriden, 91 southbound is really jammed up now, exit 20 to 17. We had a 3-vehicle crash there between exits 18 and 17 that took out the right lane. Wilbur Cross and Route 3 are moving. Traffic and weather together on the 8th. WTIC News Talk 1080.
Traffic is brought to you by the Heyman Law Firm.
If you or a loved one has been the victim of medical malpractice, know that you are not alone. Call 1-800-HEYMAN and they will get you the answers and advice you deserve. Attorney John Heyman is your legal authority in medical malpractice. Call 1-800-HEYMAN.
Well, the rest of our Wednesday afternoon, lots of clouds with a couple of showers, breezy, the high of 67. Then tonight, cloudy and mild with a passing shower or two, the low only dipping down to 59. A little warmer as we make our way toward the rest of the week. Cloudy with a couple of showers for Thursday, but the high up to 74. There'll be an evening shower in spots, otherwise cloudy Thursday night. Then Friday, still cloudy with a thunderstorm in spots for the afternoon. Warmer, though, the high up to 81. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
Follow WTIC News Talk 1080. Don't miss out on important updates in Connecticut, from breaking need-to-know news, weather alerts, and more. Follow WTIC News Talk 1080 on the Odyssey app now. WTIC is celebrating 100 years on the air and 100 years of serving Connecticut. This is WTIC and WTIC FM HD2 Hartford, an Odyssey station.
4 o'clock, Hartford temperature 67 degrees. Good afternoon. I'm John Silva. WTIC 1080 News. Waterbury police are now charging a teenager with bringing a firearm to Wilby High School today. The 15-year-old faces a host of charges, including threatening possession of a firearm on school grounds, carrying a pistol without a permit, and criminal use of a firearm. Police say a fellow student reported the incident. The student was later identified and arrested. Wilby High was placed into a lockdown shelter in place that was since lifted. Police Chief Fernando Spagnolo says quick action by school officials and his officers was key in making that arrest. Those who feed the hungry in Connecticut say impending cuts to federal food assistance will make it tougher to do that job as the number of people in need is rising. Feeding America now says more than 515,000 Connecticut residents are food insecure, a 10% annual increase. Connecticut Food Share CEO is Jason Jakubowski.
Unfortunately, the trajectory is it's in the wrong direction.
hunger is getting worse here in Connecticut instead of getting better. 1 in 6 Connecticut children are food insecure. 1 in 12 seniors are food insecure.
Now, Jakubowski says food lines at the state's 600 pantries are as long as they've ever been. As federal resources dry up, Connecticut Food Share will rely more on donations. Visit foodshare.org for more information. President Trump says he urgently wants to make a deal with Iran to wind down its nuclear program, but he says Tehran must end its support of proxy groups throughout the Mideast as part of any potential agreement. Trump's in the midst of a 3-country visit to the region. Today he discussed Iran's rapidly advancing nuclear program in one-on-one talks with Qatar's emir. Trump also expressed measured confidence the U.S. effort with Tehran will work out one way or another. In earlier comments in Saudi Arabia, Trump made clear he expected Tehran to end its role as the chief financial backer of militant groups. An appellate judge is taking over as the state's new inspector general. Elliot Prescott replaces the retiring Robert Devlin. The inspector general has the tough role of investigating when police kill people in the line of duty. Prescott says part of the job is building trust in communities where many have believed prosecutors were too close to police to fairly execute such cases.
You know, it's not a question of building additional trust. In some of these communities, there has been no trust at all. And Judge Devlin, through going to meetings night after night, talking to these communities, has come to begin that process of building trust.
The Inspector General's office was created in 2020 as part of the state's police accountability law. A college student who's lived in the U.S. since she was 4 is now facing deportation after being pulled over in a traffic stop. 19-year-old Yamina Arias Cristobal, who was born in Mexico, was detained by ICE last week. The traffic charges have been dismissed, but she remains in custody, and the administration says she has to face the consequences.
In the meantime, she will remain detained. She, according to the attorneys, has a bond hearing scheduled for next week. The lawyers will try to argue that she should be released while the government seeks her deportation at the very least.
Correspondent Camilo Montoya Galvez. And even by Texas standards, it's hot. Kurt Watson is the mayor of Austin.
This is the type of heat we generally don't start seeing until July. It's unwelcome and it's unwanted, but it's here.
It's expected to stick around for a few days, too. That heat dome stretches from the Dakotas to many parts of the South, and forecasters say many records are expected to fall. Wall Street, Dow down 89 points, NASDAQ up 136, S&P up 6 points. For these stories and more, go to WTIC.com. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
As men get older, our bodies we all know that. And often we just accept the changes as the way it is. But some of those changes, such as bad sleep patterns, low sex drive, brain fog, no energy, and reduced gains in the gym, could be due to low testosterone. And that is something you can change. This is Dale for Northeast Men's Health. And even if you're in your 30s, if you're experiencing some or all of the symptoms I just noted, you very well may need low testosterone treatment. With our treatment protocols, if you're like most men, you'll be amazed at the change. You'll have more energy, improved mental clarity, your sleep will be better, so will your workouts, and you'll likely find your sex drive increases too. So give us a call today and make a change for the good. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start treatment the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 800-930-5956. That's 800-930-5956. Or go to Northeast. Here we go. That's northeastmenshealth.com. We have 5 offices across the Northeast to serve you. Northeast Men's Health, a Prometic restorative health practice.
It's Reese on the radio. And don't say we didn't warn you on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
And we're back, and we'll get into the stupidest thing that I read today. Why some people don't understand how Facebook works. If I remember this correctly, there used to be something on Facebook that used to ask you the question about whether or not you want to post this. I know I haven't seen it lately, but maybe I've been very constructive on Facebook, because I remember a time, like I was back and forth with a friend, and we were writing really mean stuff, like we guys do. We'll be texting each other back and forth, and we'll be, ribbing each other in a cruel manner. But if we do it on Facebook, Facebook will say something like, do you really want to send this? they had that added feature onto it. It was just like, this seems very, fight wordy. Are you sure you want to? I wish that they would bring that element back, but only if you are 50 and older. For certain people, because some people, you know how grandma or grandpa can just say whatever comes up. They shoot from the hip, it's saying, they say whatever they want. It reminds me of that Saturday Night Live skit about the senior Alexa Silver. If you've never seen it, you got to check it out yourself. It's Alexa Silver, which is supposed to be the Alexa device for elderly people. And at the end, there's this old guy who says, "Alexa, play black jazz." And Alexa goes, "Playing jazz." There just needs to be one of those things where you just, just for the elderly, social media, once you put your age and your date of birth in, social media knows, okay, this person may say some things that are highly insensitive. And sort of put some guardrails on there. See, Nana, times have changed. Do you really want to say this about your granddaughter's baby? I don't think so. Just none of those things. So we have a pure example of that coming up involving a Trumbull council member, a Trumbull council member. And we'll talk about that in a little bit, so stay tuned. It's not, it's just one of those things where you try a little too hard to be hip and you failed miserably. Let's get another check of the weather and traffic with Jason Caterina and Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center.
Tom O'Hanlon,
sorry.
I'm Tom O'Hanlon from the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. 84 westbound, we're busy from exit 56 to 46 and eastbound 46 to exit 51. Route 2 still slow, feeding up into 84. That continues to build if you're going westbound there in 84. Now, Founders Bridge is seeing a bit more action crossing the river into Hartford. 91 southbound is stop and go from 291 down into North Meadows, but we're okay both ways through Hartford. In Windsor, 91 southbound slow, exit 35 to 32. And if you're traveling through Meriden, 91 southbound has jam-ups there from exit 20 to 17 because of a 3-vehicle crash between exits 18 and 17. Wilbur Cross and 3 are good. Traffic and weather together on the 8s. WTIC News Talk 1080.
This traffic report is being brought to you by Stu Leonard's Farm Fresh Foods. This week at Stu Leonard's Farm Fresh Foods, direct from their Midwest ranchers, ground beef chuck. Fresh ground daily by their butchers, just $3.99 a pound. Plus, fresh juicy strawberries in a 2-pound package is only $6.99. Save $1.
WTIC weather.
Well, it's been a pretty nice day, depending on where you're at. We do have some rain down around southwestern Connecticut right now, and that has certainly impacted the temperatures quite a bit. As we head through the rest of tonight, cloudy and mild, a passing shower or two, the low down to 59. Still cloudy with a couple of showers for our Thursday. Warm day, though, the high 74. Friday, still cloudy, a thunderstorm in spots for the afternoon. Warmer still, though, with the high up to 81. Thunderstorm in the evening Friday night if you've got plans. Then Saturday, mostly cloudy, not as warm, and thunderstorm in parts of the area. The high dialed back to 73. Still some evening showers Saturday night. Sunday looking like the better of the 2 weekend days. Mostly sunny, less humid, very pleasant, breezy in the afternoon. The high of 75. So those temperatures right now, it's down to 59 rain-cooled degrees in Bridgeport, 65 in New Haven. Warmer north, though, Bristol at 73, 74 in Hartford. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
Wisdom teeth giving you trouble? Columbia Dental's expert oral surgeons specialize in comfortable and efficient wisdom tooth removal. Open 7 days a week. Call 860-645-0111 or visit columbiadental.com.
Join us this Sunday for Tumalo Financial, your go-to for retirement planning and taxes. Tune in to the father-son duo from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. or catch replay from 5 to 6 p.m. Tumalo Financial, retirement planning with integrity on WTIC News Talk 1080.
At Progressive, we're making things easier. We'll help you bundle your home and car insurance together so you can save on both. Learn more at progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
Need space in a hurry? Order your storage container at eagleleasing.com or call 1-800-GET-EAGLE and we'll have it delivered on site like that. I'm Mike Eagle, and just remember, don't get stressed, get Eagle. You see us everywhere. We're Eagle Leasing.
He put that
Need a
finger
space
snap
shot?
all
We're
in
one
the
of our
microphone.
Clean, dry, ground level store from Eagle Leasing today. Call 1-800-GET-EAGLE or check us out and get a quote at eagleleasing.com. I'm Brandon Eagle, and you see us everywhere. We're Eagle Leasing.
Here at ALO, we believe hearing solutions to your main drain problems shouldn't cost a thing. That's why we offer free mainline drain camera inspections and free estimates on sewer line repair or replacement. Contact the trusted professionals at ALO when you call, click, or text today and say, "Hello, ALO." Call for details. Licensed for safety. P10277-688, D10401465, E1185643, S3308699, HIC 628926, SM 3004646, HOD 635, HOD 223.
Life insurance. Why are you can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start.
Here we go.
Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
President of the Chris Murphy Fan Club, Reese on the Radio, on News Talk 1080, WTIC.
Plenty of news and plenty of views to get to today, folks. And don't fret, and I apologize for this, but it's coming to a time where I'm just going to have to start revealing some things, sort of like some housekeeping. If you've noticed that Reese on the Radio is taking fewer and fewer phone calls, there is a reason for that. But it is not because I do not value your opinion. Of course I do. But I'm trying to open up the books, if you will. I want to get some different and very diverse questions or answers to a lot of my probing questions to a lot of people. I know that there are some people who show up at the show, and I appreciate you. Avid listeners and avid supporters of the Reese on the Radio program and, of course, of WTIC. But it's important to me that I open up the show to a lot of voices that I don't get to hear. So I do very much so appreciate your calls, but I really want to hear from some people I don't get to talk to every day. So when I start to see the same, routine people over and over again, I know that I'm kind of going in that place, and it sort of doesn't give the fresh feel to the show that I'm accustomed to. And I beat myself up every day making this show fresh and new every day. It's hearing my voice every day is enough. But if I don't make this entertaining in some way, and if it becomes repetitious, people leave. And I'm not interested in having them leave. I've got an ego, consider that. I'm an egomaniac. So I don't want anybody to take any offense to that. It's just that if it's the same people the same days, I'm probably going to overlook them and move on until I get some other people. Just temper your calls for when they're appropriate. You don't have to call every day, but we appreciate you, and we hope that you'll continue your support. And I hope that no one takes that personally, because it isn't meant in a personal way. I just want you to understand our point of view. We still appreciate you nonetheless. Now, having said that, I'm going to go to an old standby. Let's get some, I guess, what can only be described to you as a critique from our very own Tim in Hamden. Hello, sir. Been a while since you've been here.
Yes, absolutely. And I commend you for the fact that, I don't want to hear the same callers saying the same thing day in, day out and everything like that. I'm a devotee of talk radio. But if you're going to be talking about Chris Murphy and the Cole Wallace interview where he's talking about the possibility of not having free and fair elections.
Yes,
in particular.
He's saying, Do you want me to play it so that people have a point of reference?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, I think it's important that we at least talk about that, or at least play it so that we can understand. Let me see here. It is this one right here.
How urgent is the moment? You know what I believe, Nicole. I believe that there's no guarantee that we are going to have a free and fair election in 2026. I think he's trying to rig our democracy, to destroy dissent, to cripple the political opposition, so that even if his approval ratings are in the 30s in the fall of next year, there isn't the ability for his opposition to muster a real campaign. So I think we've got to act with tremendous urgency, and we have to make the corruption and the destruction of democracy the number one issue.
Okay, so you think that Chris Murphy has a fair point here. You think that what Donald Trump is doing is going to prevent us from having a free and fair election in the midterm. Do you agree with him? I don't want to assume.
It's a very strong possibility.
Okay.
This particular radio station, was one that put out, for the last Trump effort, if the election was stolen, you had caller after caller, for weeks and weeks and weeks, the election was stolen, to the point where January 6th occurred.
Was that new though? Was that new?
What?
Was that new? People saying that the election was stolen. Was that new? Was that never been done anywhere in the history of our elections?
I don't think it has. If with the exception of maybe the 1960 election, which was
the 2000
Nixon versus Kennedy,
the 2000 election
2000
in Florida,
the election, the Florida situation. You'll forget that Gore won the popular vote overwhelmingly. It was like 300 some disputes.
Yeah, and you know what? And you know what? Congratulations to him for winning the popular vote. But it's the Electoral College that actually gets you to win. But nonetheless, it was also suggested. It was even Tim. We have to be honest here, and I know you're honest, right? It was ballyhooed about that Jeb Bush was the governor at the time of Florida, and he was making the Secretary of State in Florida. I can't even remember her name, but I feel like her name was Catherine or something like that.
She was the election administrator.
Yeah. She was but she was the Secretary of State for the state.
Oh, that's what I mean.
Yeah. She was the Secretary of State, and I remember her because she was in the news all over the place. And she was being accused of what's the name? She was being accused of putting her thumb on the scale. They even went so far as to say that was the case with the Supreme Court. It was like, how dare the Supreme Court actually decide an election? They said it can decide it can decide on whether or not a woman can abort her child. It can decide on whether or not gay marriage is legal. But how dare they choose an election or vote in an election? I have no idea.
How you recount ballots is one thing, but in particular after.
Yeah, but so we have come to the determination that it is not unheard of for American citizens to express their free speech rights and contest an election and believe that it was stolen. See, your problem is, hold on, here's what your problem is. See, you're saying that someone's free speech, if it leads to something, it's no longer free speech. But I can make that same argument in Ferguson, because someone's free speech said, hands up, don't shoot, was an actual truth. And that so-called truth led to the burning down of Ferguson, Missouri, where insurrection. You never once said that those person's free speech.
All right, let me put out my point of view here. When you have the President of the United States, you have talk radio all across this country, and every, whack job on,
on Wednesdays,
radio, and all on Whack Job Wednesday, putting out conspiracy theories, and you have people.
But so what? No, Tim, you're arguing something. Listen, no. You're arguing against something that is a constitutional right. You have a constitutional right to be as much of a whack job as you want. So stop arguing something you cannot prevent. No. It's a dumb argument. Wait. It's a non-starter, Tim. Let's argue. Let's nip that in the bud. It's a non-starter to say that you have a problem with someone's constitutional right to free speech, even if you disagree with what they have to say. It doesn't matter whether or not it led to the events of January 6th or not. Because again, I can make the same argument for hands up, don't shoot. Right? Because it still led to what? It led to a riot that led to death.
Now that you filibustered, now let me put forth, the counter argument. There's a difference between a president whose own cabinet, his own attorney general, and 22 courts said the election was not stolen, and someone for his own ego using the power of the presidency to say you must show up January 6th, and and a lot of them showed up with military gear and everything else.
Okay, before you go anywhere else, let me answer.
And
No, I want to address one thing at a time, Tim. I want to address one thing at a time. You said that judges now, so now judges are sacrosanct, right? So a judge says that there was...
No, I said 22.
Who cares whether or not there were 22? I don't care if there were 4 million judges. The point
They
is...
were appointed by
it doesn't matter who they were appointed by. It doesn't mean that because they were appointed by Donald Trump that they don't have fault. They don't make mistakes, or they don't have some fault to them.
22-0.
It doesn't matter.
22-0.
No. Again, I get what your argument is. It's a fundamental one that actually has holes in it. Here's my argument, and it's real simple. We have had plenty of cases where judges have made rulings that you don't agree with, that you got mad. Because remember, the Supreme Court also overturned Roe v. Wade, and the left lost its mind. And in one breath, they told us, we must respect the judiciary until they don't do what they're told. Remember? So please stop giving me an argument that it already falls flat, because when it doesn't go your way, they are completely to be dismissed. So please stop making an argument It's an argument that you always dismiss when things don't go your way. And your party will dismiss when it doesn't go your way.
I don't always dismiss it.
Okay.
You
I'm glad that you do.
those-
I'm glad
all
that you don't.
Sort of stuff,
I'm glad that you don't.
This particular president, with the assistant manager of the White House, Stephen Miller, talking about doing away with due process.
Hey, there is no due process, sir. Sir, there is no due process.
Being confused with the whether or not he has to support the Constitution in particular. Was asked on Meet the Press, and he was confused about whether he had to do that or not. Yeah, there's a lot of things and stuff that myself and average people.
Can you stand by for a second, please? Can you stand by,
Okay.
please? Can you stand by for a second?
Sure.
I'd like to read something to you. Former President Bill Clinton signed a 1996 law establishing expedited removal, a fast-track deportation that allows for deportations without going before an immigration judge. Although people's due process protections are limited under expedited removal, the process is not exempt from due process. All non-citizens in the U.S. have due process rights regardless of their legal status and how they entered the country. Now, I'm so glad that you guys are so enamored with due process. In 1996...
No, I'm talking about talking about due process for everything.
No,
not
just by the way,
immigration issues.
Oh, no, there is no due process.
Everything.
There is no due process for immigrations. Here,
I know. You don't believe in the
I'll read it to you. I'll read it to you.
No, don't read talking points.
I'm not reading it to you. Can I tell you where I'm reading this from? I'm reading it from PolitiFact. PolitiFact is not a right-wing. Yeah, you know it's not. So listen closely, because it's part of your team and it's your PolitiFact. In 1996, Congress specifically authorized the executive branch to conduct non-judicial deportations, not subject to due process. The Bell County, Texas Republican Party posted on April 30th on Facebook. The post included a graphic with a photo of Clinton that said, in 1996, Bill Clinton signed the Immigration Reform Act that stated illegals could be deported without judicial hearings. So, if this is really about due process, the Constitution...
Again, you're talking back only about immigration. I'm talking about Stephen Miller and this president...
Removing habeas corpus is what you're talking about.
Don't understand, the basics of the Constitution.
It sounds like you don't, sir.
Essentially, they essentially, they're doing everything by executive order. They don't even have a party that's willing to vote up or down on issues and stuff. So, every day we can go to a different, scandal, a different thing that we're going to be all excited about and everything until the next day.
Is Donald Trump the first person to sign? Is Donald Trump the first person to sign executive orders?
He's the first person.
Is he the first person?
Crazy.
No.
So many crazy executive orders.
That is, sir.
Yeah, that's just.
Sir, that is debatable.
Can he get through his own party?
Tim, why did
Donald?
Hold on. You're telling me now that because Donald Trump is signing so many crazy executive orders, that now executive orders should be abolished? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying Chris Murphy, and I voted against Chris Murphy, by the way.
But you agree with him.
Is right by saying that, this election, there's no guarantee that there'll be a fair and free election,
Okay,
for the
before I
midterm.
let you go, in 30 seconds, hold on.
Donald Trump.
Tim,
I do not trust him
in
as
30
far as
seconds,
I can throw him.
In 30 seconds, Chris Murphy says that there is no way that we can be certain that there'll be a free and fair election in 2026. Okay, in 30 seconds, give me one way that we won't have a free and fair midterm election in 2026. Just one, out of the blue. Pull it out of your rear end. What way? Because Chris Murphy's never made to answer that.
What is rear end?
No. Don't get caught up in the fancy.
Give us classic. Give us national security, terror, and that sort of stuff. That'll be a classic, thing. Well, for national security reasons,
this is
we don't have to do
this
it.
is exactly why your party is never going to win another election, because you're liars.
First
Because
off,
you're liars
I am
and you're
green.
dishonest.
I am not a Democrat.
You're still a leftist,
Get that through your
which
head,
means you're
okay?
a leftist. It means you're a progressive, and it means that you're a liar.
It means that you don't understand.
Tim, it means that your party lies. It means that you leftists lie. You can't even answer a simple question, okay? It means you can't answer a simple question as how are the midterm elections going to be thwarted? And you don't know. And you think that if you just raise hell and you just scream bloody murder, because this is nothing more than your screaming fire in a movie theater. That's what this is. It's screaming fire in a movie theater with no basis. Just say that the midterms are under threat. Okay, how? You know how. Give me a break. We'll come back. More news, more views when we return. Let's get another check of the traffic and the weather with Jason Caterina and Tom O'Hanlon, who's in for Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center.
I'm Tom O'Hanlon from the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. 84 westbound, we have that traffic between exit 56 and 46. Just the usual, and eastbound slowing down, exit 46 to 51. Route 2 still busy up into 84. Founders Bridge, not too bad. Now 91 southbound stop and go from 291 down to North Meadows. It's okay, though, both ways through Hartford. And 91 southbound in Windsor slowing down, exit 38A to 35B. Also in Middletown on 91 southbound, we're busy from exit 20 to 17. Wilbur Cross and Route 3 are moving. Traffic and weather together on the 8th. WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
For the rest of our Wednesday afternoon, lots of clouds, couple of showers. It'll be breezy, the high of 67. And tonight, under cloudy skies, it remains mild with a passing shower or two, the low of 59. Warming up as we head toward the end of the week. Cloudy Thursday, couple of showers around, the high 74. An evening shower in spots Thursday night, otherwise cloudy and remaining cloudy for the day on Friday. There'll be a thunderstorm in spots for the afternoon, the high of 81. A thunderstorm Friday evening, then Saturday mostly cloudy. Still a thunderstorm in parts of the area during the afternoon, not as warm, the high of 73. Evening showers Saturday night, then Sunday mostly sunny, less humid, looking like the better of the two weekend days. Very pleasant, breezy in the afternoon with the high of 75. Mostly cloudy, windy, and cooler Monday with the high dialed back to 64. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
Follow WTIC News Talk 1080. Don't miss out on important updates in Connecticut, from breaking need-to-know news, weather alerts, and more. Follow WTIC News Talk 1080 on the Odyssey app now. And now, a WTIC News Update.
69 degrees at 4:30. I'm John Silva. Waterbury police say a teen who brought a gun to school today will face a number of charges. The 15-year-old accused of brandishing the unloaded weapon at Wilby High School. Student was reported by another student, and police made the arrest. He faces a host of charges, including carrying a pistol on school grounds, threatening, and carrying a pistol without a permit. Food Share, Connecticut Food Share, says food insecurity is up. It says new data show 1 in 7 state residents is food insecure, over 14% total. 2 Southington High School students who set fire to a laptop are now facing charges. Police say the incident occurred last week. They think the stunt was part of a social media challenge to stick objects in the computer and thus set it on fire. At the state capitol today, Senate Democrats moving to advance their high-priority AI regulation bill. That touches on several different applications from business to deep fake porn. President Trump says he urgently wants to make a deal with Iran to scale back its nuclear program. He says, though, that Tehran must end its support of proxy groups throughout the Mideast. And sweltering heat, more commonly seen in summer, making its unwelcome arrival in Texas. A heat dome from the Dakotas to the Lone Star State is going to see temperatures soar well into the 90s over the next several days. Checking Wall Street today, we had a mixed bag. The Dow shed 89 points, NASDAQ up 136, S&P up 3 points. Baseball tonight on TIC right after the 6 o'clock news. Red Sox wind up their 3-game series in Detroit against the Tigers. Yanks are playing this afternoon in Seattle. That's the culmination of a 3-game series there. And the Mets will conclude their 3-game set at Citi Field tonight against the Pirates. NBA Eastern Conference semis. Knicks will try to do away with the Celtics in Boston. New York leads that series 3-1. For these stories and more, go to WTIC.com. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
Coverage varies by plan, view contracts and exclusions at endurancewarranty.com. Auto repair bills are through the roof. $3,000 to replace the transmission. $4,000 for a blown engine. And if your manufacturer's warranty is expired, you'll have to cover it all out of pocket. You need an Endurance Auto Protection Plan. No matter what the mileage, if your car is under 20 years old, Endurance can get you covered on the engine, electrical system, transmission, AC, drivetrain, and more. Endurance has plans for any budget. Repairs can be done at the certified mechanic of your choice, and they're paid directly with no middleman. Plans cover 24/7 roadside assistance, towing, battery jumps, fuel deliveries, tire changes, lockout services, and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Act now and get our elite benefits, including complete tire care and key fob replacement. A $2,000 value at no extra cost. With Endurance, you could never pay for covered auto repairs again, so call now for your free quote. Call 800-253-6203. 800-253-6203. 800-253-6203.
Did you hear? A recent stash of $10 gold Liberty in the 1800s has been found. These gorgeous gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck in the late 1800s. And less than 200 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this gold find an incredible opportunity. Call 1-800-969-0686 and you are guaranteed a $10 gold Liberty coin minted by the U.S. Mint in the 1800s. But with extremely limited availability, you must call now. These gold Liberty coins from the 1800s are still in uncirculated condition. That is history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-969-0686. Call now and you'll receive a free American Coin Collector's Bonus Package, a $40 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-969-0686 now to secure your $10 gold Liberty coins dated from the 1800s before they sell out. That's 1-800-969-0686.
Stay locked in. Reese on the Radio is on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Let's do it.
Yes, you do. Stupid as can be. This could very well be the stupidest person on the face of the earth.
Stupidest thing I read today comes out of Trumbull, Connecticut. Democrat Town Council member Kevin Shively, or Shively? Is it Shively or Shively? It's got to be Shively. Has resigned after Democrats and Republicans condemned his Facebook post as anti-Semitic. Shively's post on May 7th said, "I'm going to say something that many may find incendiary." Okay, rule of thumb. If it may be incendiary to say it, don't post it. He went on, "Jewish supremacy is exactly equal to white supremacy." 2 days later, following a meeting with town Democratic leadership, including First Selectman Vicky Tesoro, he announced his immediate resignation after 8 years on the council. Quote, "My administration remains committed to upholding the integrity of public service and that our words and actions at all times must reflect the values of our diverse and welcoming community." That's what Tesoro said that in an emailed statement on Tuesday. Shively's comments were publicly condemned on Facebook on May 9th by the Republican Town Committee and the Democratic Town Committee. Quote, "We stand in solidarity with our Jewish neighbors and every Trumbull resident against hate and anti-Semitism. Kevin Shively is unfit to serve. We call for his immediate resignation or, at the very least, a referral to the Trumbull Ethics Commission." And, of course, he resigned. What I find interesting in all of this is that during an election, there was a question and answer that Kevin was given with a reporter. And I didn't look this up other than by accident. As I was trying to find some information on him, I was like, wow, how long has he been in office? This guy, he must be a new jack. How old is he? And in doing that, I happened to run across it. First of all, he's 55 years old. Remember what I said earlier about some people? Some people should, think before they write something at that age on social media. Well, he didn't. Donald says, talk about freedom of speech. No one says he didn't have the freedom of speech. Freedom of speech, all freedoms have consequences, my friend. The right to bear arms has consequences. Should you hold the firearm incorrectly, fire it indiscriminately. All freedoms have consequences. He had the freedom to say whatever he wanted. Some people took offense to his freedom, and therefore he resigned. He could have stayed. He took it upon himself to resign. But here's the quote that I found interesting in a little back and forth in an interview that he did. "What's the best advice anyone gave you, Kevin Shively?" He wrote, quote, "The most important thing in life is how you treat other people," end quote. Yeah. Appropriate. Kevin, maybe you get another shot. Good luck to you. Good luck to you. Let's get another check of the weather and traffic with Jason Caterina and Tom O'Hanlon in the BPS Traffic Center.
I'm Tom O'Hanlon from the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. On 84, we're slowing down westbound, exit 56 to 46, and eastbound from 46 to exit 51. Route 2 is still busy, feeding up into 84, and 91 southbound stop and go from 291 down to North Meadows. We're doing okay on 91 in either direction through Hartford. Now on the southbound side of 91, it's slow in Windsor, exit 38A to 35B, and Middletown southbound 91, exit 20 to 17. Wilbur Cross and 3 are okay. And if you're heading down 91 to New Haven, it looks okay. 95
Good point,
southbound
Matt.
busy by New Haven. Traffic and weather together on the 8th. WTIC News Talk 1080.
Brought to you by Staples. Your local Staples has hot deals and super low prices throughout the store on everything for your business. And right now at Staples, save up to $250 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. And 614. Save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples.
WTIC weather.
Still steadier rain down in southwestern Connecticut right now. And we'll have a few passing showers as we head through tonight. Otherwise, cloudy and mild, the low down to 59. A cloudy day for us Thursday as well. A couple of showers around. Warm, though, the high 74. Friday, remaining cloudy, a thunderstorm in spots for the afternoon, even warmer to round out the week, the high of 81. A thunderstorm Friday evening if you've got plans. Saturday, mostly cloudy. Again, a thunderstorm in parts of the area, the high 73. Still some evening showers Saturday night. That becoming clear. Then Sunday, mostly sunny and less humid. The better of the weekend days, the high of 75 for us. Right now, it is 66 in New London, 65 in New Haven. Warmer north, though, Meriden 74, also Mansfield and Hartford. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
Is your old AC system buzzing its last breath? Install a new energy-efficient system with Call the Bee, and we'll buy your old AC unit up to $1,500 and put it to good use to train the next generation of local HVAC pros. Enjoy lower energy bills, quieter performance, and comfort all summer long. Visit callthebee.com. That's calltheletter.com to schedule a free estimate. Call the Bee, Connecticut's plumbing, heating, cooling, and electrical professionals. We'll be there, and we'll be fair.
Tune in to WTIC News Talk 1080 for Healthy Rounds, Saturday mornings 11 till noon. Learn from the top experts about the latest medical news and call in with your questions. Healthy Rounds, sponsored by Hartford Healthcare, Saturday mornings 11 till noon on WTIC News Talk 1080 and WTIC.com.
Is thinning hair or receding hairline making you self-conscious? Stop feeling embarrassed about your thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow. by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or in stores at your local CVS.
Town Fair Tire, the area's largest independent name brand tire dealer, sells any Continental tire you choose at the guaranteed lowest price. And Town Fair gives you the most free services for life on your Continental tires. So if you're searching for the best price and the most free services for life on Continental tires, get a Town Fair Tire, because nobody beats a Town Fair Tire deal. And I mean nobody.
Name brands at discount prices. Town Fair Tire.
Attention. $1,000 or more
Thanks, sir.
in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-207-4545. That's 800-207-4545. Once again, that's 800-207-4545.
The self-proclaimed love child of Rush Limbaugh.
They're running a strange program, y'all.
Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, plenty of phones in the room. Let me get to them. Bob's in Meriden. How are you, Bob?
Hey.
Bob? Hey, what's going on?
Yeah, no, I'm not in Meriden anymore. Update your system. I'm in Wolcott now.
Oh, okay, my bad. What's going on?
No problem. You know, I just, when I tuned in, I heard Tim on the radio, and, you know, he keeps on talking about things that are unconstitutional.
Yeah.
And here's my thing, you know, I swore an oath in 1992 to support and defend the Constitution. So I will defend with my blood and my life his right to say what he needs to say. But he needs to bring receipts if he's going to say something is not constitutional. Bring receipts.
Do you get the impression, and I do this enough to know, I almost feel like they take their talking points from whatever news outlet is spewing this, and then when forced to respond, like, okay, it's unconstitutional, explain how. And it's always very... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
They need to go back to the source.
Yes.
Go to the Constitution. What does the Constitution say? What does the Bill of Rights say?
Oh, I know. Trust me, I know. I don't think that they really understand. I think that there are a lot of platitudes in play here. I think it's just say it's unconstitutional without understanding the Constitution. Say that it's censorship without understanding how censorship works, or you know, that whole thing about talking about January 6th or people who denied the election. And then when you go back to them and say, well, that's not unheard of for people to deny an election. I mean, that's kind of who we are. People, you know, I'm pretty sure they denied the election of Abraham Lincoln.
If they can actually prove that's unconstitutional, they can prove it in writing, I will stand in front of the sword. I swore that oath in 1992.
Well, I appreciate your service.
And that is not an oath that gets...
Bob?
That's not an oath that expires.
I understand that.
All right.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Hey, it's our good friend. He's on the line. I want to make sure I play his intro because he'll get mad if I don't.
Black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm
Rudy's
black,
calling
y'all,
all the way
I'm
from
blacker
Florida.
than black.
What's going on, big guy?
Oh, it's just a cheap $69 Velo flight to New Haven. I agree with Bob. I live by my oath, but I don't defend what Tim says. He's the enemy of the state. So
you don't think he's just some rabble rouser?
Well, you know what? He's an idiot from the worst college in Connecticut, but I made a very expensive dinner when I got home from work tonight.
Okay.
And I turned the TV on, and there was nothing on. I'm waiting for Archie Bunker at 5 o'clock on my TV.
Oh, no doubt.
So I checked in to see what you were doing, and it was Tim calling you.
Hey, I'm sorry. Your timing is awful.
I'm making a bison steak, rare, that I shipped in from the Dakotas.
Ooh.
I made broccoli with cheddar, organic broccoli, Cabot cheddar, Cabot butter, cream, kimchi, and a mushroom cream sauce. All local vegetables and Cabot dairy. And I bite into the first steak, and I listened to him, and you called him a lefty. He is a lefty. He's a Democrat sympathizer. But this is why I called you.
Yes.
Are you sitting down?
Oh, yeah, sure.
You want a great laugh?
A great laugh? Sure, of course. I love a great laugh. What do you got?
Quote, unquote. I'm not a Democrat. I didn't vote for Chris Murphy. He said that, right?
Yes, that's right.
So, in 2024 election, Chris Murphy got 58% of the vote.
Right.
Matthew Corey got 39.7% of the vote.
Correct.
There was a third party at 0.9%, and then there was Tim's candidate, Justin Paglino, a doctor from New Haven, who got 0.8% of the vote. Guess what the name of the third place party was? It was Democrats won, Republicans second, a third place party. Green Party finished last, was less than a point. Guess what the name of the third place party was?
What was it?
You got to sit down. It was Robert Hyde with the cheaper gas and groceries party. No lie. You go to Ballotpedia and look this up. The Green Party lost to the cheaper gas and groceries party of Connecticut.
Holy moly.
Lost.
Holy moly.
But he's a Democrat sympathizer.
Yeah.
He's one of the worst callers at WTIC besides Ferris.
Hey, look.
And I know Fred's listening. Fred needs to stop promoting Ferris get on shows because he disrespected veterans and he burned Mark from West Hartford, who arranged. You've heard the Mark from West Hartford story, right? He fundraised and got buses and got free passes in the Mohegan Sun and gambling money and lunch paid for. And Ferris begged to be part of the staff and help the vets, and then stood him up and cost someone a seat.
Wow.
And Fred's out there promoting, like, give Ferris a second chance. No, you crapped all over a veteran, and it's May.
Yeah.
May is Veterans Month. You can bring it back up next month when it's Men in Dresses Transgender Gay Month.
Get back to your bison steak. Hey, I just want to say this to you, by the way. My wife, if she's listening, she's going to be a huge fan of you because she won't let me eat anything other than bison. That's a huge deal to her.
Oh, no, wait. Go like one more minute. People don't realize this, and they're killing our meat. And I love RFK. He's not doing enough. But farm-raised salmon, which is 90% of the salmon you buy in stores, comes out grayish white. They dye it.
Yep.
If you're not buying fish that's wild caught, don't eat it. And don't eat the beef. Bison are 1,400-pound animals that roam the prairies. And if you stuck a needle with antibiotics or steroids in them, they would kill you on the spot. They are nasty. My Army buddy worked on ranches while he went to the University of Montana after we both got out. And they are dangerous animals. You can't touch them.
Oh, yeah. No, I understand. My wife, like I said, my wife swears by him. I probably had bison meat twice in. I had bison meat twice in my time.
Salmon, more iron than beef. It's the healthiest beef you can eat.
I know. Like I said, she swears by it. Thank you, Rudy. She will. She tells me right off the bat. Like twice in my life, I ever had bison meat at a restaurant, and then I meet my wife, and that's the only thing she swears by it. I'll take Rick in South Carolina. How are you, Rick?
Good, Reese. It's great to hear from you. I listen to you all the time, and I like the concept of letting people call up that don't call up a lot and get on, because it gets kind of tiring listening to Tim from Hamden always bashing Donald Trump and never coming on and saying anything positive about Donald Trump. And then also you have Frank from Woodbridge, who basically talks about women and how they're not pretty women or whatever. You know what? Come on, let's grow up.
Well, let's not rehash those things. What do you got otherwise, Rick? How are you?
Yeah. But one thing I wanted to talk about is you see the strike going on at Pratt Whitney, and you see Mr. Blumenthal and all the politicians that are supposedly walking the line now.
Yeah.
Where were they 20 years ago when these jobs were being shipped out? You didn't hear anything about it then, but now all of a sudden they're always worried about protecting union workers, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because remember, it is a reframing and a the rebranding of the Democrat Party. One of the things that hurt them, Rick, that they recognized was, they had, what's his name, Sean Feen, whatever his name is, from the United Auto Workers. This guy was on the front lines talking about how he supported Joe Biden and supported Democrats, and he openly admitted on Neil Cavuto's old show that a majority of his members were voting for Donald Trump because they understand. They understood that the brass at the Auto Workers Union may be supporting a Democrat, but they understood that Donald Trump suited their needs. This hurt the Democrat Party. We are for the workers brand. So Dick Blumenthal, again, a very, pencil neck kind of, pocket protector politician, is now trying to look like we're for the working man because he knows that they're in a desperate situation to regain that group or that constituency, and they've lost them.
Yeah, exactly right. And you'll see Sean Fain now is he's talking positive
Oh,
about Donald Trump all of a sudden.
Amazing.
So now he switched his platform. Come on, buddy. You know what? And I hate to say it, but most unions are for Democrats.
Mhm.
And you know what? Maybe it's time for a change,
It has been, look, it happened before, because you might remember this very well, Rick. In 2016, something happened that I thought was crazy. I used to be a person who talked about this all the time. I used to talk about how the public worker unions were overwhelmingly taking their dues and giving them to Democrat politicians and, funding ads for them over and over again. And then Donald Trump got into the fold in 2015 and 2016, and you saw this weirdness, like the teachers, they stayed where they were. But fire and police started endorsing Donald Trump. It was the first time I had seen public worker unions support Donald Trump. This go around, these unions, and many of them public worker unions, auto worker unions and other unions, what was his name? Traffica? What's his name? I can't remember his name. Gosh. I can't remember. I think his name is Traffica. It comes to me, but somebody in the chat room will remind me. But even he started coming out and started endorsing Donald Trump and was completely denouncing Democrats. And I said to myself, that's so weird. I've never known these unions to support Republicans in any way.
That's right. Yeah, so maybe things are changing,
Yeah, I think demonstrably so. But I think that what that Blumenthal thing was a last-ditch effort to show a union. It was like, no, we're for you. You remember us? You used to guys be in our camp. And it's desperate at anything, if anything, I should say.
Right. They had 30,000 workers 20 years ago. We're down to 3,000. It's a little late for the fight. you know?
Yeah, wow. Talk about showing up late. You're 100% right. Thank you, Rick. I appreciate you, sir. And when we come back, the top of the hour, I still got the rest of this Chris Murphy thing to talk about, because it's not just about his fear of the midterm elections, which, again, he wouldn't be talking about them if he wasn't concerned that everything that they're doing is blowing up in their faces. And this Joe Biden scandal is one of those things that are going to make it really bad, because, look, the natural question after Biden was incapacitated, the most righteous progression as far as questions go becomes, hey, who was in charge? Who made this decision? Who made that decision? When 13 service members died and many were wounded in exiting Afghanistan, who led the charge? Who led the exit? did Joe Biden have anything to do with that? I'm sure the answer is going to be no. Opening up the border, allowing people to just flood in. The fight against anything and everything to keep Border Patrol from doing its job. Whose position was that? And I always go back to that Mike Johnson video where Mike Johnson's talking to Joe Biden about liquid natural gas when he put a stop on it, and him talking to Joe Biden saying, hey, you put a stop on liquid natural gas in my state of Louisiana. And Joe Biden says, no, I didn't. And he goes, yes, you did. You signed an executive order to put a halt on it. He even says, well, let's get your staff to print up the executive order that you signed. And Joe Biden goes, no, I didn't do that. It was supposed to be for a study. So how does someone look at that? And again, that's a microcosm of a bigger problem. How does somebody look at that? As simple as liquid natural gas. They couldn't even have that guy sign the actual document to stop the export of liquid natural gas out of Louisiana. If he couldn't even make a decision on that rudimentary, fundamental executive order, what else was he not? What dire situation was he having? In fact, Mike Johnson talks about it. He said he had very dire national security discussions that he needed to have with the president, and they were keeping him from him. And the guy didn't even know what was going on. It's something to consider. It's something too. It has to be considered. Let's get another check of the weather and traffic with Jason Caterina and Tom O'Hanlon in for Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center.
I'm Tom O'Hanlon from the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. On 84, the action westbound slowing down. That is from exit 56 to 46 and eastbound exit 43 to 51. Now, Route 2 is still busy up into 84. Founders Bridge, some stop and go into Hartford if you're going west there. 291 eastbound, still a lot of traffic feeding in off of 91. 91 southbound congested, exit 29A to 26 in Hartford. 91 southbound in Windsor, we're also busy, exit 38A to 35B. And in Middletown southbound, exit 20 to 17. Wilbur Cross and Route 3, we're moving. Traffic and weather together on the 8s. WTIC News Talk 1080.
This traffic report is being brought to you by Stu Leonard's Farm Fresh Foods. This week at Stu Leonard's Farm Fresh Foods, direct from their Midwest ranchers, ground beef chuck. Fresh ground daily by their butchers, just $3.99 a pound. Plus, fresh juicy strawberries in a 2-pound package is only $6.99. Save $1.
WTIC weather.
For the rest of our Wednesday afternoon, lots of clouds, a couple of showers. It'll be breezy, the high of 67. And tonight, under cloudy skies, it remains mild with a passing shower or two, the low of 59. Warming up as we head toward the end of the week. Cloudy Thursday, couple of showers around, the high 74. An evening shower in spots Thursday night, otherwise cloudy and remaining cloudy for the day on Friday. There'll be a thunderstorm in spots for the afternoon, the high of 81. A thunderstorm Friday evening, then Saturday mostly cloudy. Still a thunderstorm in parts of the area during the afternoon, not as warm, the high of 73. Evening showers Saturday night, then Sunday mostly sunny, less humid, looking like the better of the two weekend days. Very pleasant, breezy in the afternoon with the high of 75. Mostly cloudy, windy, and cooler Monday with the high dialed back to 64. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
WTIC is celebrating 100 years on the air and 100 years of serving Connecticut. This is WTIC and WTIC FM HD2 Hartford, an Odyssey station.
It's 5 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News. We have cloudy skies. Temperature is 72 in Hartford. The State House has passed a measure that is designed to shield kids under 18 from certain social media algorithms aimed exclusively at the child. Supporters of the measure, like Representative Gary Turco, the vice chair of the legislature's General Law Committee, say those algorithms are harmful.
We are talking about in this legislation protecting children from design features in social media platforms that have been purposefully created to make the platforms addictive.
Kids would be shielded between the hours of 9 p.m. and 8 a.m. In addition, the bill would require social media companies to compile an annual report on the number of minors on their platform and the average amount of time spent on said platform. Feeding America says hunger is rising in our state, and Connecticut Food Share says it'll be tougher to feed those in need because Republicans in Congress are preparing more cuts to federal food assistance. More than 500,000 Connecticut residents are food insecure. That is a 10% annual increase. Connecticut Food Share CEO Jason Jakubowski is looking at the budget bill going through Congress right now, including cuts to TFAP, the Emergency Food Assistance Program.
And there are major cuts to SNAP, Medicaid, and TFAP. That is a perfect storm for food banks and for food pantries across the country. I don't know what we're going to do when the number of people needing food is going to go up and the resources we have to provide them food is going to go down.
He says Connecticut Food Share will be relying more on donations. More information is available at ctfoodshare.org. 15-year-old Wilby High School student being charged after Waterbury police say he brandished an unloaded handgun on the school bus this morning. Officials at the high school say a student reported the incident to the school's resource officer, prompting a lockdown shelter in place. They were able to identify the student, and he was taken into custody. Charges include reckless endangerment and carrying a pistol without a permit. The gun was loaded, police say, and it was an isolated incident. The lockdown lifted shortly thereafter. Police Chief Fernando Spagnuolo commended the students who came forward and the quick response from school staff and his officers. State's new Inspector General says part of the job is building public trust. In the Police Accountability Bill of 2020, the IG was given the role of investigating when police kill people in the line of duty. The new IG, Elliot Prescott, recognizes such cases are controversial.
But when they're handled in a way in which the public believes are open, fair, and independent, we've seen that they can be decided and dealt with without as much controversy as we've seen around the country.
HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. testified before a pair of congressional committees today. Wisconsin Democratic Representative Mark Pocan asked Kennedy to clarify his position on vaccines.
If you had a child today, would you vaccinate that child for measles?
For measles, probably for measles. What I would say is my opinions about vaccines are irrelevant.
Kennedy has long questioned the effectiveness of vaccines and promoted disproven claims about links between vaccines and autism. Heavy weather making its mark along the East Coast.
Another part of the region that is being affected by very heavy rainfall and flooding, that's running from North Carolina through Virginia and into places like Pennsylvania, eastern Pennsylvania, New Jersey, the New York City area, as well as on up into sections of lower New England, southern sections of New England, and this is hampering travel both on the road and in the air.
Meteorologist Craig Allen. Wall Street, the Dow down 89 points today. The NASDAQ gained 136 and the S&P was up 6 points. For these stories and more, go to WTIC.com. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
Hey, it's Tom Shattuck, as you know, my friend. In 180 weight loss, and now he has just finished week 13 of losing weight each and every week.
I'm down 65.4 pounds. I'm feeling a lot more confident in myself. You know, like I used to be, especially summertime, be embarrassed to wear certain clothing because you didn't want to show your weight. I have my major high school reunion in September, and I'm kind of looking forward to, showing off a little bit. That'll be kind of cool. I can actually wear clothes that I've had tucked away for years. So I'm kind of excited about that. I'm getting a little cocky.
It's okay to get a little cocky when you've lost a lot of weight with Awaken 180 weight loss because you did it the right way. Eating healthy food, but eating smarter. Working with a coach who customizes the approach to you. Unlike all these fad treatments for weight loss that you hear so much about in the news, with Awaken 180 weight loss, all you put into your body is delicious, healthy food. Make your consultation today. 844-346-1800. Online at awaken180weightloss.com.
The hour that packs a punch. It's Reese on the Radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Yeah, we're back. Let me play this as I was talking about earlier. I knew I had the video here somewhere, so I was looking for it as I was talking in the last break. Again, this is Mike Johnson talking to Barry Weiss, the former writer, columnist over at the New York Times. She has a new outfit now called the Free Press that she runs. And in that conversation, Mike Johnson is talking about his encounter with Joe Biden because he was trying to get a meeting with him based on national security issues that were really pressing at the time. I would love to know what it was about. But this is how he knew that Joe Biden didn't know what was going on.
And I said, Mr. President, thanks for the moments. This is very important. I got some big national security things I need to talk to you about that I've heard and I think you know, and what do we do? But first, real quickly, Mr. President, can I ask you a question? I cannot answer this from my constituents in Louisiana. Sir, why did you pause LNG exports to Europe? I don't understand, liquefied natural gas is in great demand by our allies. Why would you do that? Because you understand, we just talked about Ukraine. You understand you're fueling Vladimir Putin's war machine because they got to get their gas from him, And he looks at me, stunned with this, and he said, I didn't do that. I said,
now think about the gravity of that. If liquefied natural gas isn't going to their European allies, they have to get it from Russia, who Joe Biden is going on the stump talking about as an evil empire that invaded Ukraine.
Mr. President, yes, you did. It was an executive order 3 weeks ago. He goes, no, I didn't do that. And he's arguing with me. I said, Mr. President, respectfully, could I go out here and ask your secretary to print it out? We'll read it together. You definitely did that. And he goes, oh, you talk about natural gas. Yes, sir. He said, no, you misunderstand. He said, what I did is I signed this thing we're gonna conduct a study on the effects of LNG. I said, no, you're not, sir. You paused it. I know. I have the export terminals in my state. I talked to those people this morning. This is doing massive damage to our economy, national security. It occurred to me, Barry, he was not lying to me. He genuinely did not know what he had signed. And
that's all you need to know. Let's get another check of the weather and traffic. Jason Caterina, Scott Weather, Mark Christopher. Tom O'Hanlon is in for Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center.
I'm Tom O'Hanlon from the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. 84 is busy westbound before you get to Route 2 and continuing across the bridge into Hartford. If you're going eastbound on 84, by the time you get to Prospect Avenue, it is steady traffic all the way up into downtown Hartford. On 91, we have a few slowdowns on the southbound side, exit 29A to 26, and also in Windsor from exit 38A to 35B, and in Middletown from exit 20 to 17. Wilbur Cross and 3 are okay, and if you're heading down 91 to New Haven, it's not too bad. 95 southbound is busy passing New Haven. Traffic and weather together on the 8th. WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
Still some showers making their way through and steadier rain down southwestern Connecticut as we head through tonight. Cloudy and mild, a passing shower to the low down to 59. A couple of showers as we make our way through the day on Thursday, the high 74. Friday, remaining cloudy, a thunderstorm in spots in the afternoon, the high 81. Thunderstorm Friday evening if you've got plans to be out. Then Saturday, mostly cloudy, warm, a thunderstorm in parts of the area, the high 73. Still some evening showers Saturday night. Then Sunday, mostly sunny and less humid, a breezy afternoon. Beautiful day, the high of 75. Right now, it is 66 in New London. It's 74 in Mansfield, 73 in Bristol, and 74 in Hartford. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
Need dental implants? Columbia Dental's prosthodontic experts specialize in placing and restoring implants for a natural, confident smile. Open 7 days a week. Call 860-645-0111 or visit columbiadental.com.
ProHealth Physicians has proudly been keeping Connecticut healthy for nearly 25 years. ProHealth accepts Husky Medicaid, Medicare, TRICARE, and most major insurances. For trusted local care for your whole family, call 1-855-CT-MD-411 or visit prohealthmd.com.
We have something to buzz about. Call the Bee. Connecticut trusted HVAC plumbing and drain professionals now offer electrical service. Call the Bee is ready to keep your home powered up. Visit callthebee.com. That's callthelletterb.com to schedule a speedy electrical service today.
This is Dale for Northeast Men's Health, where our erectile dysfunction treatments are shown to be effective in well over 90% of cases. Here is one of our patients, Bill, sharing his experience on our ED treatments.
My name's Bill, and I'm a patient at Northeast Men's Health. I suffered with ED for a couple of years, and I wasn't satisfied with my intimate life with my wife. If you have a problem, find a solution. If you have ED, seek out Northeast Men's Health. Go there. You've got nothing to lose. I am having good sex, but it's not just about the sex. Colors are brighter. My mood was brighter. I had more passion for everything in my life, not just sex, everything. I'm going to Northeast Men's Health. Go there, give it a try, meet the people there. They'll take care of you.
Thanks, Bill. It's true. If you're like most men, we'll help you get your sex life back. For just $99, you'll get a medical consult, blood work, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call today, 800-930-5956, or go to northeastmenshealth.com. That's northeastmenshealth.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation. Provider who will determine if
Yes,
appropriate.
sir.
Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Reese on the Radio is getting ready to drop some knowledge on WTIC News Talk 1080.
All right, we're back. Thank you. All right, we're back. It's Reese on the Radio, News Talk 1080 WTIC. Look, with all due respect, no phone calls in this break. So if you're on hold, might as well hang up because we're not doing another phone call for another half an hour. Okay? So if you want to call back, please do that. But we're not taking any other phone calls. So everybody just, with all due respect, because I got to cover this stuff. I got plenty of news and plenty of views, and we're going to go into it like I promised. And I'm an hour late on all of this. So let's get to this point about Chris Murphy. All right? It's very important. Chris Murphy is everywhere today. In fact, I've got some audio that I haven't even spliced up yet, but he was at this committee that in the hearing that had to do with HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy. I'll probably have that tomorrow if there's anything worth it. But according to Twitter, RFK handed Chris Murphy his tuchus in that hearing because Chris Murphy tried to play tough guy, and it did not work out. So we'll have that. But I want to play this because just recently he had Kristi Noem in front of him. I played it last week where he filibustered the entire 5 minutes that he had in speaking to Kristi Noem. And I want to play that part first because Chris Murphy's got a lot of problems, even though he wants to be president. And he should consider every one of these things when he's talking. This is Chris Murphy talking about the talking points that Kristi Noem is going to make about the decrease in illegals coming across the southern border.
Now let's talk about why encounters at the southern border are down so much. This is clearly going to be your primary talking point today. You will tell us that it represents a success. But the primary reason why encounters are down is because you are brazenly violating the law every hour of every day. You are refusing to allow people showing up at the southern border to apply for asylum. I acknowledge that you don't believe that people should be able to apply for asylum, but you don't get to choose that. The White House doesn't get to choose that. The law requires you to process people who are showing up at the border and who claim asylum. Why? Because our asylum law is a bipartisan commitment, an effort to correct for our nation's unconscionable decision to deny entry to Jews to this country who were being hunted and killed by the Nazis. Our nation.
So now he is equating to people at the southern border seeking asylum to Jews trying to flee Nazi Germany. So come on down, Raul Spielberg. Chris Murphy's got an amnesty for you. Don't worry there, Consuela Rosenberg. You're going to get in under the Chris Murphy presidency. But see, Chris Murphy, you've got a lot of problems here. You've got a lot of problems. What Chris Murphy believes that our military should be doing instead of securing our southern border, that's even crazier. Think about this. Donald Trump is overseas speaking to the Middle East, to ensure peace with those nations, to revamp, if not regroup, the Abraham Accords, to stop the radical death from Islamic extremism in that region. What does Chris Murphy believe that our soldiers should be doing instead of securing the southern border? This.
Yeah, I mean, what Trump did in his first term is what he's doing in his second term. He's taking military assets and he's stealing them from the defense of this nation and putting them in service of his attempt to shut down the border illegally, right? Illegally. That's important. I mean, people, when they come to this country under the statutes, are allowed to claim asylum if they're fleeing terror or torture. And they're not allowed to do that any longer because there's not just border agents there. There's lots of military members who, frankly, should be out fighting terrorist groups that exist in all parts of the world. It's not just MS-13 that presents a threat to the United States.
Yeah, so he believes that we should have our young men and women in the military fighting wars in the Middle East. He knows that's a losing argument, right? He knows that actually Donald Trump is winning in that debate, right? No more foreign wars, no more blood for oil, as it were. Chris Murphy's going back to the neocon way of governance. But see, here's the interesting part, right? He doesn't want any such cover on the southern border. But Chris Murphy, I'm afraid you've got a different point of view when it comes to, let's say, Joe Biden and the southern border.
First of all, Kamala Harris has always been for border security. And the fact of the matter is this campaign is going to involve a enormously important contrast between the Biden-Harris administration, which has pushed for bipartisan border security legislation that would fix the problems at the border, and Donald Trump, who killed that bipartisan deal. Today, border crossings are lower at the southwest border than they were at the end of the Trump presidency.
Yeah, they were lower. He was bragging about that. He was even saying that Kamala Harris is much stronger on the border than Donald Trump.
She actually is presiding over an administration that has less crossings at the southern border on a daily basis than were happening at the end of the Trump administration.
Yeah. Chris Murphy was talking about lower rates of crossing at the southern border that was in effect happening during the Biden-Harris administration. But now that it's happening under the Trump administration, no, it's not real. It's fake. Chris Murphy even went on to say that Donald Trump, when it's really white, he says it's black. He's the one telling everybody that it is what it isn't.
If Donald Trump says black is white or 1 + 1 = 5, the Republican Party is going to agree with him.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's the guy who says that if Donald Trump says this, this is that. Well, I've got a question for you, Chris Murphy. What is a woman? What is a woman? I wonder. And what's the difference between a boy and girl? Donald Trump says that it's black when it's white and 1 + 1 = 5. He can't seem to tell the truth. How about when asked something as simple as whether or not boys should play against girls in women's sports?
I don't have any fear of transgender athletes participating in sports, but
wait, just so you don't have any fear of it. Do you think it's if you had a daughter competing against a biological male, would you find it unfair?
I don't have girls, right? So I necessarily can't, right? I can't put myself in that position.
Have some empathy, right, for those of us who do, right? So would you find it unfair?
I mean, I've talked to lots of parents of girls in Connecticut who do not think it's unfair and who think that the benefits that those athletes get from being part of a team is important. And
now I want to tell you folks that what Chris Murphy said right there is indicative of what I've been saying about him since I got here. Okay? I'm going to give you an opportunity to listen to it again. Listen very closely to whom Chris Murphy listens to and talks to.
Have some empathy, right, for those of us who do, right? So would you find it unfair?
I mean, I've talked to lots of parents of girls in Connecticut who do not think it's unfair.
And that's because Chris Murphy never talks to people who think otherwise. Chris Murphy has no conversations with people outside his peer group who agree with him ideologically. That's his answer. In a polarizing issue, he believes it's a polarizing issue, but it's not that polarizing when it's like 80 to 90 to 20 to 10. But he doesn't talk to anybody on the field. When I talk to parents who have daughters, they don't have a problem with it. He never once mentions it that he talks to other family members who are opposed. Never has a conversation with them. Doesn't even consider it.
And who think that the benefits that those athletes get from being part of a team is important, and they don't mind or feel threatened by the competition. I think everybody can come to their own conclusion, but all I'm saying is
but your conclusion is the official line of liberalism right now. It's you're saying you don't.
Yes, my conclusion is that I would support those athletes being able to participate in my community, right? In my community, but I would not substitute my judgment and my community's judgment for another community's judgment.
He's got no interest. This guy wants to be the president of the United States. Chris Murphy, you have no shot. You're scared to death to talk to anybody who's opposed to you ideologically. You cannot have a conversation with them. You don't empathize with them. As a New York Times opinion writer had to actually goad you, if not force you, to have some compassion on the issue. When asked about it is, well, I don't have girls. It's your job to have compassion for people who do. But everything in that shows you exactly who Chris Murphy is. He doesn't care. He doesn't have time for compassion. He sees it his way, and that's it. When I talk to mothers who have daughters, they don't have a problem with it. Like I would say, and again, look at his town halls. Look at the places where he goes to have conversations. And again, speaking to Shannon Bream over at Fox News on Sunday, is not facing the opposition, is not facing any real scrutiny. Nothing against Shannon Bream, but she's a God-fearing Christian woman, and she's not incredibly adversarial. That's not her role. She is, when I say there's a person who calls balls and strikes, she makes Brett Baer look partisan. But he'll gladly go on that show. You wouldn't catch him on a Sean Hannity or a Jesse Waters or he won't even come here. Actually, I know he won't come here. But that's exactly what I'm talking about. Chris Murphy has the wrong idea on everything because he's wrong-headed on everything. And it's quite incredible to watch. It is. It just continues to open his mouth about these things. And this guy wants to be president. And this part about there's going to be no midterm because it's going to be rigged.
How urgent is the moment? You know what I believe, Nicole. I believe that there's no guarantee that we are going to have a free and fair election in 2026. I think he's trying to rig our democracy, to destroy dissent, to cripple the political opposition, so that even if his approval ratings are in the 30s in the fall of next year, there isn't the ability for his opposition to muster a real campaign.
How do they not have the ability to muster a real campaign against him? You're polling at 1% and you got $5 million. Was it $8 million? You're polling at 1% and you were able to fundraise at $8 million? You're everywhere. No matter where you look, if it's a leftist outfit, someone's written an article about you. What do you mean you're not going to have any opportunity to fight back politically? Now, all of a sudden, he's trying to rig that. The bottom line is what Chris Murphy is telegraphing right now. That's exactly what he's doing. He is telling his constituents that everything that they made you do over the last 4 months, Everything they made you run out there in the streets and protest and burn down and scream and holler about, it was all for naught. The successes just keep on coming. This whole weekend was incredible, what Donald Trump was able to do. Just go away for the weekend, and every one of these people are losing their collective minds. Daddy, come on home. Hurry up and get home. I'm sorry. It's just really embarrassing when people call him that. It's kind of sad. Yeah, he's looking for the sympathy vote, all right. That's exactly what he's doing. He's already telegraphing loss. We're going to lose. We can't beat this guy. Donald Trump is going to convince their voters not to vote for them in the midterm. That's all. And the Joe Biden albatross is not helping them at all. And we'll get back to that because I got John F. Kennedy audio here about these Medicaid cuts and why they're a lie. So stick around for that because that audio is good. Apparently, the Medicaid cuts are going to be 14 million people who are going to be affected by it. And then at the same time, it's only 8 million people who are going to be affected by it. By the way, they're going for the new standby. Apparently, Medicaid cuts are going to kill people. Now, I'm only going to say this because it's important. The last time a progressive said that Republicans and health care would kill people, we got James Hodgkinson. Remember him? Steve Scalise remembers, and so does Pepperidge Farms. We'll get to that shortly. So stick around. More news, more views. Also, last but not least, caller of the day. If you want to win a dozen bagels a month for 6 months, give us a call at 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. Last but not least, caller of the day wins a dozen bagels a month for 6 months, courtesy of Between Rounds, the Bagel Bakery and Sandwich Cafe. And we may have to put a disclaimer on there that says if you do win, you have to go into your spam folder to get the email and all that good stuff. But let's get into another check of the weather and traffic with Jason Catarina and Tom O'Hanlon, who's in for Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center.
I'm Tom O'Hanlon from the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. 84 eastbound is loaded up from Quaker Lane south all the way up into Hartford. On the westbound side of 84, we're pretty busy as you're approaching Route 2. 2 is loaded up as you're feeding up into 84 to cross the river into Hartford. On 91, some lingering delays as you're heading down from 291. We're seeing some traffic working your way down into North Meadows, and also 91 as you're working your way down a little bit more. We have a couple of things going on in Windsor, southbound exit 38A to 35B. We're hitting the brakes. 91 southbound in Middletown loaded up, exit 20 into 17. Wilbur Cross and 3 are okay. If you're heading down 91 to New Haven, not too bad. 95 southbound busy passing New Haven. Traffic and weather together on the 8s. WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
For the rest of our Wednesday afternoon, lots of clouds, couple of showers. It'll be breezy, the high of 67. And tonight, under cloudy skies, it remains mild with a passing shower or two, the low of 59. Warming up as we head toward the end of the week. Cloudy Thursday, couple of showers around, the high 74. An evening shower in spots Thursday night, otherwise cloudy and remaining cloudy for the day on Friday. There'll be a thunderstorm in spots for the afternoon, the high of 81. A thunderstorm Friday evening, then Saturday, mostly cloudy. Still a thunderstorm in parts of the area during the afternoon, not as warm, the high of 73. Evening showers Saturday night, then Sunday, mostly sunny, less humid, looking like the better of the 2 weekend days. Very pleasant, breezy in the afternoon with the high of 75. Mostly cloudy, windy, and cooler Monday with the high dialed back to 64. I'm meteorologist Jason Catarina in the WTIC Weather Center.
And now, a WTIC News Update.
Good afternoon. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News. Waterbury police say a teenager is in custody after he allegedly brandished a gun today on a school bus. A Wilby High School student reported the incident. The 15-year-old was identified by the school resource officer. The firearm was unloaded, they say. Incident sent the school into a lockdown, shelter in place for a time. The 15-year-old facing a number of charges, including carrying a pistol without a permit and risk of injury. 11-year-old recovering after they were struck by a bicycle this morning in the Brass City. Police say the youngster was hit in the area of Old Colony Drive. They were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. 2 teens in Southington under arrest for allegedly setting fire to a school laptop last week. The 2 high schoolers are charged with reckless endangerment and other offenses. It's thought the incident was part of a challenge it's been making the rounds on social media, where basically the kids stick something into the laptop and then watch the thing catch fire. The state says it has secured temporary custody of 15 neglected horses from the Stirrup Fund Stables rescue in Lebanon. They were left on a vacant lot a week ago. They're now being cared for at a rehabilitation facility in Niantic. President Trump saying he urgently wants to make a deal with Iran to wind down its nuclear program, but he says Tehran must end its support of proxy groups throughout the Mideast as part of any potential agreement. Wall Street, a mixed bag today. The Dow was down 89 points, NASDAQ up 136, S&P up 6 points. Baseball on the radio tonight, Red Sox and the Tigers from Comerica. We'll go to the pregame right after the 6 o'clock news. Yanks are in Seattle. The Mets are home to finish up their series with the Pirates. Eastern League, Binghamton is at the Yard Goats on the Odyssey app. And NBA Eastern Conference semifinal action from TD tonight. Knicks will try to finish off the Celtics. New York leads that series 3-1. For these stories and more, go to WTIC.com. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
At Ayala Home Services, we handle hundreds of water heater issues a year. We know how much of an inconvenience no hot water is, and with our fully stocked trucks and warehouse, you can get your hot water back as soon as the same day. Contact the trusted professionals at Ayala Home Services when you call, click, or text today and say hello, ALO. Call for details. Licensed for safety. P102776688, E10401465, E11856643, S330869, HIC 628926, SM30044646, HOD 635, HOD 223.
Play ball! Town Fair Tire is proud to sponsor the Hartford Yard Goats all season long. Catch all the action at beautiful Duncan Park. Last season voted the best minor league ballpark in all of the minor leagues. Town Fair Tire and the Hartford Yard Goats, 2 Connecticut winning franchises, team up this season as the Yard Goats go for another playoff run. Town Fair Tire and the Hartford Yard Goats, rolling together all season long.
Name brands at discount prices. Town Fair Tire.
Did you hear? Ash of $10 gold Liberty coins from the 1800s has been found. These gorgeous gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck in the late 1800s, and less than 200 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this gold find an incredible opportunity. Call 1-800-969-0686 and you are guaranteed a $10 gold Liberty coin minted by the U.S. Mint in the 1800s. But with extremely limited availability, you must call now. These gold Liberty coins from the 1800s are still in uncirculated condition. That is history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-969-0686. Call now and you'll receive a free American Coin Collector's Bonus Package, a $40 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-969-0686 now to secure your $10 gold Liberty coins dated from the 1800s before they sell out. That's 1-800-969-0686.
Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday to us. Happy 100th birthday, WTIC. Happy birthday to us.
We're back. It's Reese on the Radio, NewsTalk 1080 WTIC. In this coming half hour, if you would like to win a dozen bagels a month for 6 months, courtesy of Between Rounds, the Bagel Bakery and Sandwich Cafe, give us a call at 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. Be our last but not least caller of the day. Also go to Between Rounds, which are located in South Windsor, Vernon, and Manchester. Of course, you do that near the end of the show. I meant to mention this as well because I read this morning that there. I don't even know how to put this. 2 movies came to mind when I heard this. The 2 movies were Wag the Dog and Dave. Does anybody remember that? Please roll and tell me you remember either of those movies. Did it even ring a bell?
No.
Okay, so Dave, if you're old enough, you might remember it. Maybe you saw it in passing and never really watched it. Dave was a movie that starred Kevin Kline and Sigourney Weaver. Kevin Kline's character was the president of the United States who is having an affair, and in the middle of his affair has this anomaly happen to him health-wise. and he ends up in a coma. They find a local, rabble-rouser activist in the neighborhood who is his doppelganger, who looks exactly like him, named Dave. And they just replace the old president, who's kind of a jerk, and replace him with this whole small-town guy who's really a do-gooder. And he takes over the position as president of the United States, and he does amazing things. He turns out to be probably one of the greatest presidents ever, a real do-gooder and all this other stuff. So in essence, what the White House did was fake the president and put in his doppelganger, and he ran the country. Another movie, Wag the Dog, stars Robert De Niro, William H. Macy, Dustin Hoffman, and Anne Heche. Many of you, if you haven't seen that movie, go see that. It is perfect. In fact, Bill Clinton was accused of stealing from that movie when he had firebombed a hospital to try to attack or try to get Osama bin Laden. It was in the middle of his scandal. He was in Camp David, and it was in the middle of the scandal between him and Monica Lewinsky, and he, went to go do this bombing, and one person in the press conference asked him if he was pulling a Wag the Dog because the movie had come out. And what it was that the president of the United States was caught in a scandal with a little girl, and they had decided to fake a war with Albania, and they hired Dustin Hoffman's character to create a production of a war. It was all fake, the whole thing. The war wounded was played by Woody Harrelson. It was a psychopath that they had pulled from. They even got, I want to say Buddy Guy. Somebody can correct me if there was a jazz musician. It wasn't Buddy Guy. If it wasn't Buddy Guy, it was somebody else. And Willie Nelson, they got them to fake an old song called Old Shoe. It was an entire production to protect the president from this scandal. And the reason why I bring this up is because in this book that Jake Tapper put out, the White House pulled in none other than Steven Spielberg to run a production to make the president look good, the President Joe Biden look good. It's insane. As soon as I heard, I was like, what in the world? And, they say the truth is stranger than fiction. It turns out that in some cases, it's one and the same. Let's get another check of the weather and traffic with Jason Caterina and Tom O'Hanlon, who's in for Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center.
I'm Tom O'Hanlon from the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. 84 westbound is still busy as you're approaching Route 2 and continuing across the bridge into Hartford. That last quarter mile or so going up Route 2 is going to have some brake lights feeding into 84. On the eastbound side of 84, by the time you get to Quaker Lane South, you're going to have all the traffic continuing steadily up into Hartford. Now we're looking at 91 on the southbound side. Below 291, it's pretty good until you get down to around North Meadows, where it still has stop and go. We're also looking at 91 with a couple of slowdowns here and there. Southbound, it is busy exit 38A to 35B, but a bit better. And also from exit 20 to 17, Wilbur Cross and 3 are okay. Traffic and weather together on the 8th. WTIC News Talk 1080.
WTIC weather.
Cloudy with a passing shower or two tonight. The low down to 59. Then a cloudy day for Thursday. Still a couple of showers around, but warm. The high 74. Friday, still cloudy, a thunderstorm in spots for the afternoon, the high of 81. Then a thunderstorm Friday evening. Saturday, mostly cloudy, not as warm. Still a thunderstorm in parts of the area, the high 73. Sunday, mostly sunny, less humid, breezy in the afternoon. Beautiful day, the high of 75. Right now, it's 70 in Meriden, 64 in Waterbury, 72 in Hartford. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina in the WTIC Weather Center.
You ask a lot of your liver, so give it the support it needs with Active Liver. Go to NordicUSA.com, Amazon, or ask for Active Liver at your local CVS. New you, new Nordic.
Prescription products require completion of an online medication consultation with an independent healthcare provider through the LifeMD platform and are only available if prescribed. Subscription required. Individual results may vary. Additional restrictions apply at lifemd.com. Read all warnings before using GLP-1s. Side effects may include a risk of thyroid C-cell tumors. Do not use GLP-1s if you or your family have a history of thyroid cancer.
If you've struggled for years to lose weight and have given up hope, did you know you can now access GLP-1 prescription medications through LifeMD? LifeMD is now offering eligible patients online access to GLP-1s, the breakthrough prescription medication that can help you lose body fat and weight.
Listen to what people are saying.
You just take your shot. It doesn't feel like you're on a diet. What I wasn't expecting it to do was to shut off the food noise. This was life-altering, and if I can do it, I feel like anybody can do it.
And here's the best part. Your insurance may cover 100% of the cost of your medication. So go to TryLifeMD.com to have your eligibility checked right now. Get started today at TryLifeMD.com. That's TryLifeMD.com.
Seems everything costs more these days. Groceries? And when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or ConsumerCellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. As low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
What's up, everybody? You know who it is.
You know who it is.
You know
who it is.
It's Reese on the Radio. Frederick Douglass of the 21st century.
It's WTIC News Talk 1080.
Maddie, the movie, I should say, that you are referring to with Eddie Murphy is called Distinguished Gentleman. That is definitely not the movie. That was an Eddie Murphy movie that failed miserably about politics. It was called The Distinguished Gentleman, was the movie with Eddie Murphy. I'm looking for new callers, so if you've never won a dozen bagels a month for 6 months, give us a call, 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. We're looking for you, new callers. I know we get a lot of the same old, but new callers. Just call in so that we can get you a dozen bagels a month for 6 months, courtesy of Between Rounds. The last but not least caller will get that today. We'll talk a little bit more tomorrow about that story with the teen algorithm. That is important to pay attention to because, as you may have heard at the top of the hour, John Vila was saying that there are legislators who want to affect the algorithm in social media for these young people. And that's important. Somebody sent me a text about that, but I don't want to give it away. So we'll talk about that. We'll start the show with the opening monologue talking about that. And it's an interesting proposal that now people are concerned about the algorithm on these children's social media pages. It's insane. Hakeem Jeffries and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez appear to be very concerned about this new legislation, this big, beautiful bill, and they are trying to attach it to Medicaid. Medicaid is the problem. Here's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who's concerned about abortion. Oh, I'm sorry. I phrased that wrong. Reproductive rights.
In states that have banned, outlawed, restricted, defunded abortion services and care, women die at much higher rates. It kills women. It kills women to defund care, reproductive care. It kills women to restrict it, to ban it, to defund it. And this legislation will kill women.
I'm sorry, Alexandria. I don't know what a woman is. Can you define women? Exactly which women? Will biological ones or ones that are born a guy? I'm not sure because, maybe there are some women I want to protect, but not others. Maybe I don't have a bipartisan view of what a woman is. You're going to have to, if you're concerned about women dying because they don't get reproductive care, are you talking about men who claim that they are women who wish to get an abortion? Right? A man with male genitalia who walks into an abortion clinic and says, I'd like you to abort my baby. And the doctor comes in and says, I don't know if I can do that. Why? Is it because I don't have Medicare? Like, which women are you talking about? Hakeem Jeffries, he's also, it's a matter of life and death. This is how you know they're losing.
Democrats are working hard through the night, both on the Energy and Commerce Committee and the Ways and Means Committee, to push back against this GOP tax scam, where they are trying to enact the largest Medicaid cut in American history, north of $700 billion. And independent observers have confirmed that if the Republicans are successful in passing this GOP tax scam, then approximately 14 million people will actually lose their health coverage. Hospitals will close. Nursing homes will shut down. This really is a matter of life and death.
It's a matter of life and death. It's a matter of life and death. Democrats are screaming all about it. RFK Jr. was on the Hill today, and he proposed that same sentiment. There are millions of people who are going to lose their Medicaid. And Robert Kennedy set him straight.
Half of my district is on Medicaid. And the recent budget that is being discussed in the House right now would leave 50,000 people in my community without health insurance. So, Secretary Kennedy, my question for you is, why do you think that a community like mine doesn't deserve access to that same basic health care provided by Medicaid that you benefited from?
I do believe they are. I do believe, and that is the design of the Medicaid program.
So do you disagree with the cuts that are being proposed for Medicaid right now?
Oh, the cuts to, this is I don't know if you understand this or whether you're just mouthing, the Democratic talking points. The cuts to Medicaid are for fraud, waste, and abuse, and I'll tell you what that means. It means that because of DOGE, we were able to determine, and it's about 8 million people who would be affected. Because of DOGE, we were able to determine that there are 1 million people who are claiming Medicaid from multiple states. That's illegal. It's theft. You're not allowed to do that. There are another 1 million people who are collecting both under Obamacare and
Secretary,
Medicaid.
that has nothing to do with the...
It has everything to do with it, bozo. That has nothing to do with it. This is exactly what the problem is.
Budget that's
These are the
actually
only
being
cuts that are
proposed
being
in the
made.
House.
These are the only cuts that are being made to Medicaid.
That's not true.
Yes, it is. There are another 1 million illegal aliens. We announced a law yesterday, a rule yesterday, we're not going to pay illegal aliens anymore. And guess what Gavin Newsom did this morning? He said we're going to take all the illegal aliens off the California Medicaid rolls because the feds aren't paying for them anymore. So the compassion ends.
That's right. He is 100% right, courtesy of NBC News. In reversal, Gavin Newsom proposes cutting back on health care benefits for undocumented immigrants. Why? Because the federal government isn't paying for it anymore, and he doesn't want his local taxpayers to be footing the bill. That's why. The Democrats have been lying about this all day, every day. That's why it's about life and death. People are going to die. People are just going to die. I don't see anyone on television pointing out in the bill whatsoever, probably because it hasn't been proposed yet, but they can't point it out. They're just telling you 8 million people. Oh, I'm sorry. Hakeem Jeffries says 14 million. Robert F. Kennedy says that 8 million people are going to be affected because they're fraudsters. And now they're suggesting that those 8 million people are bona fide recipients who are supposed to get those benefits. And they know it's nonsense. They only care about the money. See, that's the whole thing. And every one of these idiots who are running around here screaming, don't touch my Medicaid. No one's touching yours. Are you illegal? Are you fraudulently getting this and that? No. But all you have to do is just say, 8 million people are going to be removed from the rolls. Well, what 8 million? Well, 8 million, does it matter? Yes, it does. Of course it does. Because if it didn't, or I'll put it this way, if it really mattered, and if it was so important, you'd easily tell us who those people were. So are the 8 million people you're talking about, or the 14 million people you're talking about, are they illegals? Are they double dipping? If it was really that dire, you just say yes. Yes, some of those people are undocumented, but they need that health care too. You'd make that argument, but you can't. You can't, because it's a losing one. You can find all the compassionate idiots in the world who are going to stand down at City Hall and scream and holler about this. They'll even go down to Washington for you. They'll hop right on a bus, and they'll make that case all day. Pay them $100 an hour, of course they'll run down to Washington to do it. But the average citizen, not so fast. And you can't sell that to people. So slow your roll. I can't wait to see that. I wish that it did. If I could, during the show, I would have listened to it, but I can't. But I'll get back to it. May even have it ready for tomorrow. We'll get into that as well. Let's go to our last but not least caller of the day. We've got Bill in Cromwell.
Hey, how are you?
Pretty good, sir. Thank you for calling. Bill, you are our last but not least caller of the day. You will win a dozen bagels a month for 6 months, courtesy of Between Rounds, the Bagel Bakery and Sandwich Cafe. What do you got for us today?
I was just surprised you did not say anything about Murphy's new beard.
Oh, no. Bill, I've been talking about that beard since he started growing it a little more than a week ago because
It's horrible.
It is. What's that term? It's an attempt to look butch or to look tougher. I blame J.D. Vance because I think that there's internal polling data that says that women like J.D. Vance's beard. I think that's why he's doing it.
He looks like Ted Kaczynski of the Unabomber.
I don't know. Listen, it's not so much that he has the beard. It's the fact that Chris Murphy's kind of a straight-laced guy. I'm pretty sure you know that. He's always been kind of straight-laced. His beard looks a little unkept. And I wish he'd at least straighten it out. Like me, I do kind of the woolly thing, but he should line it up a little bit to make it look more presentable. Do you agree?
I do, and I also, one other thing, you're way too easy on him. He's the only guy to get divorced, and his net worth doubled that year.
That is a good point. That is a really good point. That's true. That's what we call an anomaly in the divorce world, and I've got enough experience in that space to know. I've had 2 wives almost divorce me into bankruptcy, so I know the deal. You're 100% right. I will focus on that more in the future, Bill. Thank you, man. Let me put you on hold, and we'll get rolling and get your information after the show. He's 100% right about that. I should net worth grow after the divorce. Maybe his wife's just a nice person. Maybe she's better than him. She did leave with all of the dishes, as I remember. Because remember when I talked about his cabinet, where he's taking those videos in his kitchen and the cupboards were bare? She probably took everything. There's a lot of William and Sonoma, a lot of Pottery Barn stuff, no longer in the house. She probably took it. In fact, let me tell you, I would not be stunned if Mrs. Murphy listens to Reese on the radio. I wouldn't be. Someone probably reaches out to her. Do you hear that guy, Reese, talk about your ex-husband? I hope she's a listener. If you are, hey, listen, we're Team You. I'm just telling you that right now. So that for tomorrow's show, we'll talk about that, the algorithm. We're still trying to get a legislator here on the show about HB 7162. Doesn't look like anybody wants to come on and have a conversation about it, so I've asked for 3 days. This is my 3rd day asking about it. I'm going to start pushing tomorrow, okay? Just so everybody knows, everyone who's on this list who is a sponsor, expect a phone call from me and expect me to ask you why you will not come on my show and have a discussion about HB 7162. And I will be asking your staffers and your communication directors whether or not you are cowards and whether or not you are not willing to face your constituents and explain to them why you are going to make them deal with this. And I am going to be a bully. I'm going to call you out by name, and I'm going to continue to call you out by name. And not only am I going to call your offices, I'm going to record me calling your offices. And I'm going to record your responses to this show and your staffers' response to this show. And either you're going to release a statement or you're going to come in here and you're going to answer questions about it, because that's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to throw a stone and hide your hand. So get your acts together, all of you. And Joshua Elliott, you know the drill, my friend. You've been here at WTIC. Now, I know, again, and I have to keep saying this. This is not a slight on Brian. I understand. Brian makes it very clear. The show goes incredibly right after 9 o'clock in the morning. But nonetheless, the reason why you go to Brian is because he is not going to be a bulldog on you, because that's not his style. And, God bless him for that. But over here, you're going to have to answer the serious questions. So stop being chumps and get on the air and have a discussion with these people. It's not about ratings, because I don't give two damns about you. You're not going to increase the ratings to this show at all. You play no role in that. But we are here to get to the bottom of what you're doing and why you're doing it. And you should have the stones to come on here and talk about it and explain to people why this is a good thing. But I don't think you have the guts. But like I said, I've asked. It's 3 days in a row now, and I've got no response. So now I push. Okay? So get ready for my phone calls tomorrow morning. Okay? After I come back from the eye doctor. Got to go get new contacts. It's a whole thing. I had to wait 5 weeks for these things to come in. 5 weeks for contacts. Apparently, I have some weird vision thing on the right. It's my birth defect, which I'm very proud of, I might add. I asked the doctor, I said, the thing with my left eye, is that like a birth defect? He says, yeah. I go, yes. As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your minds. So I'm Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember that panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. Me, I'm Reese on the Radio. You have a good night, pleasant tomorrow. We'll see you back here at 3 p.m. Now it's time for weather and traffic with Jason Catarina and Tom O'Hanlon, who's in for Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center. Mark will be back tomorrow. Holla, guys.
I'm Tom O'Hanlon from the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center.
All right, good sir.
Brought
Yeah,
to you by
man.
Columbia Implant Center in Manchester.
Absolutely.
On
I got to
84
think I'd make
going
another
westbound, you
announcement
still have that
tomorrow about
traffic
the
from
phones.
Route 2 onto the bridge, crossing
Okay.
South
Yeah,
Oxford,
so
eastbound at
I think,
84. It's
look, we
cleaning
don't-
up pretty
if we
well
don't tell
going up
them, they're
through
gonna just
Parkville,
keep doing
seizing
it,
up.
and they're
It's
gonna
still
feel
some
rejected,
stop and go
so.
after that is
Yeah, no, I got drops already ready. I just got to put them in.
Yeah,
one
exactly.
scattered pockets
Okay.
of traffic just
All right,
about halfway down between
I think that's it.
291
All right, I'll give you a holler tomorrow.
The northbound.
Yes, sir.
All right.
One, we're looking pretty good. Really not a lot going.
All right, everybody. Holla, holla, pop your collar. It's been a pleasure. We got plenty of stuff to get into tomorrow. Plus, I got to get this audio for the what's name. So, by the way, if you guys ever have anything on the show that you want to talk about, make sure that you let me know. You can send me a message here on Facebook, on X, and wherever. Just send me a message. If there's a story that I missed that I didn't pay attention to, I try to cover everything. I try to cover national as well as local. So, and I'll get in. Also, we have some good news coming up in about a month and a half, by the way. So I'll let you guys in on that very soon as well. So stand by. All right? You guys be good to each other. God bless you, and I love you.